Over the past year, we traveled the country visiting American farms, and something great came of it. All because Reagan and Massey gave farmers a platform to share the history, the business, and the people that together have created their farm's identity. This project has uncovered the reality of what many farms in the country have to go through, and it's been long overdue. With our country losing an average of 28,000 farms a year, what better of a time to tell the stories than now? So we'd like to thank you for joining us on our travels and inviting these farmers into your living room, just as they have done for us.
So much appreciate the fine folks that put that great docu-series together, and they're still working on future episodes. Farms of America, it's a long winter ahead, folks. Be sure you keep occupied now that college football is winding down. And we're going to get to talk to the star of episode 1, Matt Kroul, here in just a few minutes as we talk about Iowa's 34-17 bowl victory over the Vanderbilt Commodores in the ReliaQuest Bowl down in Tampa Bay. My name is Corey Bratta here from the Hawkeye of the Storm, and you're watching Iowa Postgame with Coach Don Patterson. And this week, once again, we've got special guest Matt Kroul, as I mentioned, joining us. He is a former Hawkeye great, phenomenal defensive tackle in his own day, and I thought Iowa's defensive line did a lot of really good work that helped them early, kind of set the tone for this game, and made things challenging on Diego Pavia and company. before we get to our first caller, we got tons of people I know who want to chat and ask Coach and Matt questions. If you got a question for me, I'm happy to field that as well. A reminder to shop RTI Threads. Aaron Graves, Zach Lutmer, Jacob Gill, Carson Shire. Every one of those guys showed out today. And, I know a guy like Jacob Gill can sometimes go unnoticed for lack of high volume, but really reliable hands, terrific blocking receiver, came here, bought into the culture, was part of the leadership in year one under Tim Lester, and just making that receiver room more stable. You got to realize where that receiver room was when he got here last year. And he has just been it's a phenomenal family, by the way, as well. Shout out to the Gill family. Hawks will be losing a really good individual as he moves on. And speaking of a good individual, Aaron Graves, new father, got his shirt on. This is the RTI Threads Aaron Graves shirt, the dry fit shirt. You can check it out. It's Nike. It's available on rtithreads.com/NIL. But Aaron Graves, besides that roughing the passer penalty late, he and that entire defensive line really wreaked havoc on Diego Pavia early. And we're going to run through kind of first half notes here in just a second. But, man, I just thought first of all, I didn't expect that. I really did think, especially given the fact that the last 12 games, all regular season games for Iowa this year, in general, I've felt that the Iowa defensive line has underperformed to the extent that I thought they'd get more pressure with a four-man front on opposing quarterbacks. And especially with a guy in Diego Pavia who's extremely mobile. But I thought it was a really well-done execution. You had a delayed blitz or two from Carson Shire, well-timed calls, as Phil Parker is known for. And, obviously it looks better when you execute, and obviously good coverage on the back end. I saw somebody's in the chat here early saying that, I don't know if this is like tongue-in-cheek, but this comment about how TJ Hall has never gotten better in his entire career, like, you really don't know what you're talking about. He was phenomenal today. I know he gave up maybe the one touchdown pass. That's a really talented group of skill position players. Clark Lee's got it going down there, right? I mean, Vanderbilt 10-2, the only 10-2 SEC team that didn't make the playoff. And I was just impressed with how Iowa attacked on both sides of the ball, not only putting pressure on Pavia, but also pulling out different tricks that I guess Lester's held on to that have been in the bag for a while now. One being the reverse pitch back to quarterback, a phenomenal play call and phenomenal execution. What a difference from the last time Iowa was down there. I believe that was, am I correct in saying that was the Kentucky game a few years back? Am I missing a game, or was I'm forget. I always confuse the Citrus Bowl and the ReliaQuest / Outback Bowl. I know they played Tennessee and got whomped. But anyways, big win for Iowa. 9-4, they finish on the year. And now it's time to re-recruit your roster and figure out who's returning, who can get another year of eligibility. Can you get Caden Weegan back for one more year? He'd be the oldest man on campus, but hey, I'd take it in a heartbeat. Again, we're going to get to all of your comments in the chat, but we want to prioritize those who have gotten on our StreamYard link here early. If you have a question for me or a comment or just want to chat about the game, there's a couple ways you can interact. There's a link in our live chat and in the description. It's a StreamYard link. You can call in either by video or just by audio. Very easy. It's free to do that, and there is no wait. There's a wait. I shouldn't say that. There is a wait, but you can get right through. We've got I think 10 or 12 open lines with StreamYard. We've only got 2 open lines with our physical phone line. So if you want to call by phone, you can certainly do that. 515-635-1601. 515-635-1601. Let's go to our first caller of the day. We have got Alex, who is here bright and early. Alex, welcome back to the show, sir. Good to see you.
Good afternoon, Corey. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Feels a lot better than – it feels like bowl season has not been as enjoyable for Iowa fans in the last – I mean, really ever since that beat down of USC. I know they had that blowout victory over Kentucky, but that was a shell of an offense. That Kentucky team was down to, their third-string quarterback. And, this felt like the best bowl win by far since at least 2019 when they beat the Trojans.
Now, 2019, they beat Mississippi State. That was Stanley's last year. They beat USC in 2020.
No,
I had it pulled. I just had it pulled up. No, it was
the 2018 season. They beat Mississippi State in the Outback Bowl.
Oh, yeah, because it was in.
Yeah,
one of them happened. Yeah,
it was January 1st. So
that
but
I remember that game specifically because that's when that one. I was gonna say some names, but a not so nice gentleman called Iowa the widest team on the field, and when Mississippi lost to them, guy from Barstool, Brandon, I think is his name.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that moron. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So
yeah, ironic that's we're talking about a win over an SEC team in 18, and then a team in 2019 that ran the doors off of USC that was supposed to be known for skill position talent and what. And Smir Smith-Marset had a hat trick in that game. And today, I mean, we talked about the stats heading into the game, Alex. My question was Vandy's strength going to outweigh Iowa's strength? That means Vandy's passing attack versus Iowa's pass defense, or was Iowa's pass offense, as bad as it's been statistically all year, was it going to be able to take advantage of a bad Vandy pass defense? And I think both sides kind of happened. Like Diego Pavia got it going in that second half, but the difference was Iowa was able to attack early, in large part due to DJ Vanami, who had a record-setting day. I believe the most yards in a single game for an Iowa pass catcher since Marvin McNutt. So that is a feat. I mean, that's, kudos to Tim Lester. I know it's a tight end, but man, and he's still got 3 years in front of him if he wants to utilize all those.
Well, and I did see a stat that Iowa surpassed 200 passing yards first time this season, so good time to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm glad Iowa got the win because I was kind of prepared to be like, there's one play that you can think back to of like maybe what was the turning point to a play that you wish you had, and it was that DJ Vanami wide open rumbles down to the 3-yard line, and Iowa goes 5 wides and slant pattern bounce, pinballs around and gets intercepted. I'm glad that didn't come down to it. So
right. Yeah, I mean, that play, it just felt like Iowa was about to put the clamps down at that point. And I'll be honest, I know that I saw some of the narrative on social media after that pass was intercepted. It reminded me of 2015 Iowa-Michigan State in the Big Ten title game. Do you remember that, Alex?
In the Michigan, when I remember, I was thinking the Stanzi when I was at Michigan State when they did that slant pattern to McNutt and they caught it and they won the game.
No, I'm talking Iowa-Michigan State 2015 Big Ten title game. Iowa had a chance to really take control early in that game, and I don't remember if it was a slant pattern or not, but George Kittle got lit up, helmet to helmet, no call. Ball bounces around and somehow ends up in the hands of a Michigan State defender, and that really changed that game. Now, bigger stakes there in the Big Ten title game, no question. But you almost feel like, man, Iowa's gotten so many bad bounces this year. So when that happens, you're up 7-0 at that point. When that happens, you're like, you got to be kidding me. But hey, this is the first time we've seen Iowa sustain offense from start to finish against a really good team this year. And that's the difference. Like, they beat a top 25 team. They've kind of got that monkey off their back. I know some naysayers will bring up, it was in a meaningless bowl game. Nobody cares. But they did that. They did it against basically a full-strength Vanderbilt team. I know they didn't have their top tight end, but in general, they were full-strength, had their Heisman finalist quarterback playing. But what they did was basically first through fourth quarter, they had a little bit of a lull there when Vandy made its run, but never really let off the gas. And I was kind of monitoring the total stats as this game finished. And Iowa finished actually 19 yards less total offense than Vanderbilt. But if you had told me heading into this game that these teams would basically be even on total offense and Iowa would be -1 on turnovers, well, I don't know, man. That's that would be a very strange dynamic to think that Iowa did that, but they did. They played a different way today in some regards, and found a way to win in a higher scoring game.
When you said it, you almost have to ask questions like, well, how many yards? Like, how are we talking 150 or are we talking 300 plus?
Yeah.
Because then the tail changes because if it's like, well, it's 150, it's like, oh, Iowa wins. Yeah, they probably had a stupid turnover or whatever, but it's like 300. It's like, oof, now you're questioning things.
And against the Vanderbilt rush defense that heading into this game, we talked about top 32 in the country. Top 16 in the country, and Iowa put up about 4.5 yards per carry. You'll take that, 167. They were plus 116 on the ground Vanderbilt averages 2.3 yards per rush. Obviously, Iowa's rush defense was phenomenal, but that was a Vandy rush offense that was solid, just outside the top 30. So, yeah, I mean, what's crazy is the one stat that as I'm looking through here, that Iowa didn't win was turnovers, and it was just 1-0. Penalties were a big storyline. I don't have the final. I'm looking for let's see, penalty. I don't have the final box score yet. I'm looking at the stat broadcast box score.
I might be able to pull it up for you real quick.
Let me see if it's. It may be here somewhere, but it felt like a pretty big discrepancy on penalties as well.
Well, I think it was timing of penalties too, because it seemed like, that what was that illegal kick? I mean, I've never seen that.
I mean, that's it. That's the epitome. The illegal kick is the epitome of what I tweeted out during the course of the game. Like, this is patented from what I've seen in postseason play so far with the playoff. Besides, because I understand it's a different level of football. That's what everybody's playing for now. But I've seen a lot of undisciplined play. I talked about this yesterday on our show with Mark Rogers. I've seen a lot of undisciplined SEC teams in postseason play. And I don't watch a ton of SEC football during the season because I'm so busy watching Iowa, locked into the Big Ten, than doing our show. And it's like, I've watched Missouri look undisciplined. Eli Drinkowitz's team, horrible play calling, bad offense, horrible. No pass offense existed for the Tigers. LSU couldn't stop anybody defensively against Houston. And so that's losses to the ACC, to the Big 12. And now today, you have a Vanderbilt team that, heading into the game was
they thought they should have been in the playoffs too.
Yeah, top 15 in the country in total offense, and just outside the top 50 in total defense. And they give up 34 to a Hawkeye team that was statistically one of the worst pass offenses in the country. And out of the 379 total yards, 100, and let's see here, did Iowa cross? Yeah, 212 passing yards.
Yeah, I said, that's the first time they did it this season.
Is it for? I didn't catch that. I was going to say I don't remember Mark Gronowski crossing the 200-yard mark this year.
Today. So here's the penalties. Iowa had 5 for 53 yards. Now I think the reason for the high is because of the 2 roughing the passer penalties. Obviously 15 yards each, so that's 30. And Vandy had 10 for only 54. Now I think 2 of those were. 2 or 3 of them were on the goal line where it's like half the distance where you're gaining about that much.
True, but how many? But that was not just a goal line issue. How many 4th and shorts did Vandy jump offside? There was at least like 5 offside penalties in this game. Yeah,
3 or 4. On that last one, on that very last one, where I really like the play call where you're like, okay, I was gonna QB, do the tush push or the. What was it? The Gronowski Plowski, whatever they're calling it.
Haven't heard.
Haven't you seen that? Yeah, go on Twitter, look on like the Hawkeye football and some of the other bigger fan accounts. It's the Gronowski Plowski. So they lined up for that and they turned it around and handed off to Xavier Williams, and he obviously got the first down. So.
And you see that flag fly right away. Those officials are just waiting for the ball to be snapped because they see there's guys who are just lined up in the neutral zone. That's what I'm saying. Like, that doesn't even, it's not like on the goal line, I think they were jumping, but at least 2 of those penalties that were not along the goal line on those offside calls, they're just lined up in the neutral zone. I understand, like, those are big plays, big moments, but that you're just giving. Down, so.
You do it once, it's like, okay, you kind of got your head in the moment, and then it's like it happens. And I think it happened 3 other times where they were doing that, and it's just like, and that's it. And you said it. I think it's just poor discipline. It's something I saw with Vandy was poor discipline, and you think about what happened with Pavia and after the Heisman, and it's just, something that I always talk about with Iowa is culture. You just don't see players do that. Kirk has taught these young men. Hey, you don't do that. You win with humility. You lose with humility. You don't gloat, don't boast. And there was a player, I can't remember, a few years ago who kind of had a bit of a mean streak on him where he would kind of mean mug people. And I know Kirk didn't really care for that. I can't.
Who are we talking
about? Just how undisciplined Vandy was, and just
who, you said someone specifically that in the past.
I can't remember. It was a few years ago. It was a wide receiver, I know. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But yeah, He wasn't a huge. I mean, you talk about Iowa's pass game and the wide receivers, and you know, throw a random dart at the board. It's just he wasn't a very big component to Iowa's pass game. You know, low bar.
Well, I will say this: we've been talking for a while about this pass offense moving somewhere in the direction of maybe just being serviceable, and I think they're serviceable. Like, I don't know I didn't even look at the pass efficiency numbers. I know total offense, they're still toward the bottom of the FBS. But as we watch this game, was there, and if people don't feel this way, that's fine. But I do. As an Iowa guy, I'm sitting here thinking, man, I'm going to miss Mark Gronowski next year. And I haven't said that about a quarterback in a long time. I mean, seriously, like, probably I said that in 2019, Nate Stanley, probably. But Nate Stanley was like, numbers-wise, he never had a year of 60% through the air. Like, he put up some numbers. They had great talent around him. No disrespect to Nate Stanley. But it's probably the first time that I've said that since the last time Iowa was down there and got waxed would have been the game in 2016 against Florida, when Beathard was hampered the entire game with an injury. But it was probably that day when I said, man, I'm going to really miss this quarterback. It was C.J. Beathard at the time. I'm saying the same thing about Mark Gronowski. I love this. I love the toughness. I mean, the finding a way to recover the strip sack in that first half was huge. I mean, you watch that play back and you're like, yeah, that's just a muscle play. Like, that's just a weight room play. A guy sticking his arm in there and pulling the ball back in his grasp. There's potentially another turnover, and then you're -2, and you figure out a way to win through that. So, by the way, I like the hat, Alex. I didn't mention the
yeah,
hat.
that's the hat that I won.
Carson Shire, man.
Yeah, I was finally able to wear it. I actually got it. They got delivered to my house after the Nebraska game.
Good deal. Yeah, folks,
So,
that's a slick looking hat. So you can check it out, rtithreads.com. Alex got that courtesy of winning one of our contests, one of our score prediction contests. So
yeah, and I got a nice quarter zip too. That's just a great quarter zip. It's the same logo and everything.
Yeah.
So I was wearing the hat the entire game. And I thought Carson Shire would have a day, and he had a great first half, two sacks. So
just say that he rocked the place on that first sack, that delayed blitz.
I was telling people, I says, I want someone to put a helmet right under his chin and just rock his world. And I'm glad it happened.
He did. 100% he did that. So,
but talk about wide receivers. I think we're in a good spot. I mean, obviously, DJ Vanami, he's a tight end, but still, he's a threat in the receiving game. And Reese Vanderzee, someone we haven't mentioned, that was a hell of a catch for that touchdown. And he's had solid hands. And you got to think, if he was available, for the Iowa State game, was he available for the Indiana game? I can't remember.
No. I don't believe so. No, because the Indiana game was in September. He didn't come back, I don't believe, until like mid-October.
So I almost want to think, like, if Iowa has him back, for those two games, does he?
Yeah, I think more so for the Iowa State game, because they just could not move the ball through the air in that game. You remember how many times Gronowski was just running for his life. It was those first two games, Albany and Iowa State. It just took some time. And we can play the what if game all year. What if Iowa played Iowa State in November instead of September when most teams play their rivals? Like, I think most people would anticipate Iowa winning that game. Yeah, it's going to be, I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but it is. It's going to be the season of what ifs and, man, what could have been. That is what it is. Like, there's nothing wrong with bringing that up. By the way, RTI Threads player of the game. This actually might be controversial. Mark Gronowski was 16.
I would put Vanami.
Yeah,
but I don't argue with the pick. I think I would have gone. I personally would have gone with Vanami.
I mean, we're talking 22 completions, or excuse me, 22 pass attempts, just 6 incompletions, 2 through the air, 2 touchdowns through the air, 10 carries, 54 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. And yeah, absolutely. Like, his plays to DJ Vanami, he had the pitch back to quarterback, which he executed well. And everybody had to work together on those plays. How about the throw to Reese Vanderzee and a phenomenal catch? That's Big Grove's big play of the day with Reese Vanderzee's 10-yard touchdown reception, tight roping that sideline late in the first half. And how big is that going into the locker room with a 14-3 lead as opposed to a 7-3 lead? It should have been 14-0. You don't throw that pick. And yes, I think I love what Tim Lester did today. There were maybe 2 calls that I didn't like. One was the reverse when they're in field goal range trying to wrap up the game, and he runs a reverse with Weegen, they lose like 3 yards. And I think it was Sam Acho brought that play. And I don't love Sam.
Yeah,
Acho.
he said he didn't like it.
Like, why are you taking the risk of getting negative yardage on that play when you're just playing for a field goal there to wrap up the game, make it a 2-score game? So I didn't like that call, and I did not like first down and goal at the 3. I don't mind throwing, but throwing a slant to Xavier Williams to me makes no sense. That's my opinion. And it goes off, caroms off his hands, as you mentioned earlier, and into the hands of a defender. So this play there at the end, obviously the illegal punt down the field, illegal kick, where the punter is past the line of scrimmage. I think if he had just ran, he probably would have had the first down. I don't think anybody was catching him.
No, there were some players getting around him, and he had to go because the 15 was the line of scrimmage. I think he had to get to not the 30, and he would have been met probably right about the 26. Well, like 3 Iowa players.
You recognize that, hey, maybe I've gone past the line of scrimmage. You got to at least try. Because how stupid is that to kick the ball? I mean, and I don't know that I've ever seen that happen. And I don't think the commentators kind of said the same.
No, yeah, they were like, they said they had never seen it either. So it's one of those weird penalties that, like, what's the penalty? USC and UCLA, if the team wears the same, if two teams wear the same home jerseys, the away team gets penalized. That's a rule. Yeah, it's a weird rule that we have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to have a rule for an illegal kick, right? Just like a quarterback can't throw the ball past the line of scrimmage. Now, what wasn't explained, I didn't love ESPN's how they do the whole rules analyst thing. I wish they'd bring him in more, because there were a couple of times where I'm like, wait a minute. So the one was the illegal formation, and we can talk about this one once Matt and Don jump on, but one of them was the illegal formation on, let's see, it would have been 4th and 1. They call it illegal formation on Vanderbilt, or excuse me, on
yeah, it was on Vanderbilt. It was on 4th and 1 in Vanderbilt. Yep.
4th and 1, they call it illegal formation. They say Vandy got the first down on the 4th and 1 play, but because of the illegal formation, they backed him up to 4th and 5. But my question is, okay, if it's not a dead ball foul, which it wasn't because they ran the play, then why, if you're Iowa, are you not challenging that, or at least pleading with the officials to go look to see if he actually picked up the first down? Because instead, then they get into the punt formation. Now, I believe it was the very next play, right? It was the very next. Yeah. It was that punt that we get the illegal kick. But yeah, so the rules, I just have never seen that happen. And what my question was when I saw him kick was, does his entire body have to be past the line of scrimmage like a quarterback has to when you're throwing at the line of scrimmage? Because if any part of your body as a quarterback is still kind of touching that imaginary line, you can throw. But he was a good at least a yard
or two. Yeah. He was way past.
Even if you're looking at his back leg or his back of his helmet, he's at least it was just a clumsy, undisciplined play, and it cost him. Iowa gets the touchdown to Reese Vanderzee at the end of the half, and they never looked back.
So, all right, I've been on here a little too long. I appreciate you,
hey, Alex,
entertaining me. So, I'm kind of curious. Maybe leave you with a question for anyone else. How do we judge the season? Obviously, you said it's the season of what ifs. What if what if Mark doesn't get hurt in the Indiana game? What if we have Reese Vanderzee in the Iowa State game? What if, maybe we hold up against Oregon? What if, the officials actually call a fair game against USC?
I think the answer to all of those questions is the same. They're all one and the same.
But then you got to think of all those, and it's like, okay, Iowa finished 9-4. They beat a really, really good Vanderbilt team, with pretty much their full allotment of players, -1. So what do we grade them? Is it a C, B? I don't think it's an A.
It can't be an A. I mean, I'm not going to give an A out for a 9-4 Outback Bowl win, ReliaQuest Bowl win. But yeah, grading will be I'm not going to just give you a crazy answer right now on the fly, but the answer to the first question is, yeah, if they win any 2 of the games they lost, they're in the playoff. 9-3 doesn't get them in the playoff, but I think it doesn't matter what combination of 2 wins, and they could have easily won 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, that's how close they were in every one of these games. For people that have lost patience, there's some people who expressed frustration with the offense this year, and I get it. Like, it's still a work in progress. Tim Lester's not going to run away from that fact, but man, it's improved. Just go back to 2 years ago, like think back to the end of 2023, what that offense looked like.
No, I don't want to. Well,
but that sometimes we get caught up in the moment and
don't
realize how much of an improvement Mark was at the quarterback position, how much of an improvement Iowa has at play caller. And they're deeper. Like, I believe they're more complete at running back than they have been in a long time. Like, they had the one-headed monster last year in Caleb, but Kamari was hurt early. Jazz was kind of MIA early last year, and obviously Kamari's the workhorse now. But I like the group they have coming back at tailback. Like the group they have coming back at tight end. They got work to do at receiver to figure out who's complementing RVZ. And after that, like, if you get Weegan back, you hope he can be one of the top 3. Would like to get him involved in more downfield action, but just so much improvement. And I know people don't love bowl games anymore, but it's a good reason to be happy beating this team. This is the best case scenario. You get a good team that's basically at full strength, and you beat them, and a team from the SEC at that. So good day.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll jump off. Thank you, Corey.
Appreciate it, sir. All right. Lots of people here who want to chat, and we'll try to get to all the calls we can. We've got Coach John Patterson, who will be joining us in just a little bit as well. But at this time, we want to welcome in Hawkeye great Matt Kroul to the show. Matt, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy early New Year, and Hawks win, man. Let's move.
Happy Hawkeye victory. Iowa 34, Vanderbilt 27, and obviously we're going to get to why you're here. We want to give a couple of shout outs to Kroul Farms, and of course the Farms of America docu-series, which we plugged at the outset, so we'll get to that. But let's talk about your Hawks. Really impressive early on, and I alluded to that at the top. I thought pressure defensively got to Pavia early, and he's a hard guy to get rattled. There's a reason why he's a Heisman finalist. But I thought it really affected things, and I give Phil Parker a lot of credit for dialing up well-timed blitzes, and Carson Shire got home on a big one that rocked his world early. As a former defensive lineman, knowing who was opposing that Iowa defense today, how big was it to lay the wood on him early and kind of maybe get up in his head a little bit?
Well, you heard the stats. I mean, he'd barely been touched all year. So, I mean, when that happens, we can kind of get in his face and make that happen. And as soon as we did that, you could see it kind of rattled in that first half. But as you alluded to, like being a Heisman candidate, he definitely stuck the course and brought him back into the game. But as a defensive player, man, when you got a running QB and you can make those stops on third down or second down and long, that just gives you so much energy. And we saw that, the first half.
Let's run through that first half and kind of the major storylines from really start to finish of that first half, because first play of the game, you watch Caden Weegan clearly overthrown by Mark, and you think, Mark's kind of been known for some slow starts with his arm this year. Second play, you get a false start, you're backed up, and then a really nice Kamari run. And then on play 3, it's a 42-yard scramble from Mark Gronowski that I tweeted out was sort of Pavia-esque, because he was being grabbed, and he's your more physical, bigger quarterback runner, if you will, and he had shades of maybe a mix between Pavia and like a CJ Beathard. And then you had a late hit on Vandy, and boy, that began what was eventually capped off with a touchdown rush from Kamari Moulton, who played exceptionally well today as well. But Iowa established things on the ground on that first drive.
I mean, Moulton's played well all year. We've talked about that every post game. Just the smoothness and the patience that he runs with, was apparent again today. And then, Pavia and Gronowski, like, they don't look like they're moving fast, but they can move. Like, they're moving. I mean, we were having trouble the second half getting him on the ground, and he showed why he was a Heisman, second in the Heisman. So, just a rocky first couple plays, and then make that change, and then first half was the first half, and we stuck it, and we're able to come out in the end. Made it spicy at the end, but that's a good team that we just beat.
Very next Vandy possession, Vandy actually advances the ball into Iowa territory, and then Shire had the delayed blitz sack and forces the punt. And then on the next Iowa possession, solid rushing attack again. Mark Gronowski did take a sack, but then phenomenal play by DJ Vanami. I see SK Runner in the chat, one of our premium members. We appreciate you for being a member here on our YouTube channel. But boy, DJ broke some records today. They haven't had this many receptions from an Iowa pass catcher since, I believe, Marvin McNutt. That's an unofficial stat. I saw that somebody sent that to me during the course of the game.
Sounds good, Corey. It sounds good.
It sounds good, right?
Yeah.
That's hey, that's going back about 15 years. So, and you played with. No, did you play with Marvin?
Yeah, we overlapped one or two.
Okay.
And then I remember I was out in New Jersey watching that game versus Michigan State in some random sports bar in the middle of nowhere in New Jersey, and he had that last second catch. So yeah, that was right around my time.
So DJ phenomenal though. That catch though really set the mark for him. A 51-yard catch and run that ended up inside the 5, and that's just center of gravity, keeping yourself on your feet, dealing with contact like Mark did on the previous possession. And then, ironically enough, Iowa, with their one real big sloppy mistake today, they go 1st and goal at the 3, and it's a slant to running back Xavier Williams. That is one of just probably 2 play calls that I really question from Tim Lester today. The ball's batted around, intercepted in the end zone. And then on the very next play, it's still 7-0. Vanderbilt gets the touchback. On the very next play, TJ Hall drops a potential interception on a sideline deep route, and then on another 3-and-out because of another Carson Shire sack, and that was the first quarter. But what did you think of the decision to throw a slant to your second-string running back in that?
I mean, it was there. I mean, maybe the ball was a little hot from Mark, but he puts it on his chest and he catches it. We're not second guessing that play call at all. But at the same time, we're inside the 5 or wherever that was, run the ball. Like our O-line is the more O-line for a reason. Like stand behind those guys and give it to Bolden or give it to Mark, like we've been doing. Don't get away from. We love it when they get away from what we always do. But at the same time, we want them to do what we always do when it doesn't work in our favor. So I don't know. You're kind of stuck both ways, but.
Kind of shades of Seahawks Patriots, right? Like yeah, I didn't come back to bite them, but I mean, in that situation, and my questioning that, obviously, it's a little easier to do that in hindsight. They win. I don't want to act like I was living in the moment. I still think it was a poor decision, just because Xavier Williams is probably your 7th or 8th best pass catcher,
and he's not your ball. Yeah, he's not your running back ball catcher out of the backfield. So
right. Yeah. So, but that didn't. Thankfully, Iowa was able to get another 3-and-out. Then Iowa punts on a 4th and 1. You expect Kirk to be pretty conservative, up 7-0 at that point, and then Iowa forces a 3rd down, but it's wiped away. Automatic first down for the Commodores because of a Will Hubert roughing penalty. One of 2 roughing the passer penalties today. Vandy finishes with a 41-yard field goal to make it 7-3. So my next question to you, you're a former defensive lineman, former defensive tackle. So maybe you and Will Hubert will get some coffee here soon. But you saw 2 roughing penalties today, one on Hubert, one on Graves. Both were sort of, were they roughing penalties in your opinion?
I don't think so. I don't think Graves was at all. I mean, he was in his throwing motion. He was 1 step away. Did he take a step? Yes. But, also politics come into play when you're second in the Heisman and we're in a QB world. I'm sure that doesn't come into the ref's head, but maybe it does. So I'm a D lineman, man. I think take the extra step sometimes, especially if you're playing a guy that good. I'm not saying dirty football, but you got a chance to hit him and you're 1 step and you're 1 stride away, like lay the hit. And we hit him. I mean, we hit him on runs. We hit him, Shire hit him. We had him with number 44, mind blank, but he got him. He stuck him once on one of those sacks. So he was getting hit more than he'd been hit all year. So, I mean, that's what I'm happy for this defense to do that. And yeah, take the extra step and hit some of these guys. These QBs need to be hit more. So especially that guy, I think he talks a little bit, I think. So
a little bit,
he needs to be hit. I think their whole team talks a little bit, but that's that conference football.
By the way, response to Bobby Hansen. This is not former Iowa basketball player Bobby Hansen, but Bobby Hansen in the chat says, love the trick play. I wish we would have used those in games that actually count. Go back and watch. They did try at least 1 or 2 flea flickers, pitch back to quarterback. Lester didn't save everything for a meaningless bowl game. Let's not make that the narrative. But sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. When they don't work, you look like the bad guy or, but today they worked, Matt. Yeah. You had the pitch back to quarterback, go for a touchdown. Obviously, they showed like they were going tush push, late handoff to Xavier Williams, who ran left and went in around and won and got the first down. I'm trying to think, was there another? That's not really a trick play, but
not really.
But the pitch back to quarterback. You're not an offensive guy, but what's it take to make a play like that work?
I mean, I'm sure they practice it every week. You know what I mean? That play is always there, and you run it maybe twice a season, but when it works, and even that NFL this weekend, we saw a couple, hooks and ladders or whatever you want to call them. And I'm sure every team works on it, and just a certain situation that comes up and, make it happen normally at the end of the game and not when we did it. But, I like it. I also like the play call, obviously the fade to Vandersea. Normally Iowa football, we'd run it twice, then it'd be 3rd and 10, and we try that, and what I mean. But we did it on the first play out the gate, and I think that's something new that hopefully we see more of, depending on we get in that conversation who the QB is going to be next year. But hopefully we see that with Vandersea, because he's got some ball skills and he's got some height actually on the edge. So I'd like to see that. That was to me an aggressive, more aggressive than we normally are, and I like to see it obviously result in a touchdown. So.
Second quarter, it was 7-3, and that's when the Mark Gronowski strip sack occurs from his blind side. But what a play by Mark, figuring out a way to pull that ball back in from the Vandy defender, who it looked clearly, on the television broadcast, it looked like it was clear Vanderbilt was going to recover the ball. But then they zoom in and you see his arm kind of come through and just pull that ball back. And those are the examples, right, Matt, where it's not just linemen that need to get in the weight room.
That's a testament to who he is too. What did he end up with? 57 career wins or something, in his college football careers. So when you got a guy like that leading these teams and makes a play like that, which is a game changer. You said the score was what at that time? 7-3. Yeah, exactly. That's a game changer, to be honest. Like, as horrible as it sounds, a strip sack, but to wrestle that ball away from that D end or D tackle, like that's pretty special for a guy to do that. So yeah, I think the commentator on grown man or old man strength or something he called it, but he got it done and got it back.
Iowa ended up punting, but it was just a huge flip of the field and getting that ball back and not being, it would have been -2 on turnovers at that point had he lost that ball. On the following Vandy possession, a 3rd down pass interference call on Cohen Entringer. They end up getting a 4th sack on Pavia. And that was actually the possession where I texted you, because they get a sack and it's 4th down and there's like 45 seconds left. And I'm like, call a timeout. And they waited like 5 seconds. I'm like, okay, that's just sloppy clock management. Now, thankfully, it didn't come back to bite them, because what do? They line up and the punter kind of goes rugby style, like he's maybe going to run, maybe not. And he decides to kick it at least a yard and a half fully past the line of scrimmage. And I've never seen that happen. You see with quarterbacks, their bodies have to fully be past the line of scrimmage for it to be a penalty. And that was never really explained whether a kicker has to be fully past. I'm guessing he does, but he was at least a yard and a half fully past the line of scrimmage. So they call it a legal kick. Not only is it a 5-yard penalty, it's a 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, and it's a loss of down. So Iowa gets the ball at the Vandy 10.
I had never seen that. I really never, maybe I have, but it's very few. To see that call, and for him to do that, and then we get the ball at the 12 or whatever, was another game changer. So we'll take it.
Our play of the game to Vandersea with a phenomenal catch. And he's starting to get that reputation, Matt. Like, if there's a ball in the vicinity of RVZ, he's got those long arms. He's got a good jump. Obviously, he's a great athlete. He's a great track athlete back in high school. But you just expect him to win those one-on-one battles, and that's a great building piece moving forward.
Well, it's just another wrinkle for us. We were pretty heavy formation on that, and he was only wide out. And we saw his man coverage one-on-one. So yeah, give it a go, and his first down, and that's even a check for us too. It'd be nice, say we're running an inside zone or something out of that formation, and we see man coverage. Well, it's first down. Let's give it a go. If it's 1st and 10, like give it a whirl, and he's got the ball skills to start coming down with it. So I think that's another wrinkle that'll help us moving forward with Tim Lester.
In general, I'm fine with throwing on 1st down, 1st and goal, if it's to a guy like RVZ, not to Xavier Williams. But
okay, note taken. Yes,
gutsy. They still did it. They still, after the one kind of backfires, they go back, throw on 1st down. Obviously, it wasn't goal line, but it was goal to go at the end. So let's go to our caller. We've got OS for Hawks here on hold. Welcome, sir. Hello, you're on the air. Hello, OS for Hawks. We don't got your audio. He's trying to mute and unmute. We'll try to get him back. You might have to back out of StreamYard and try again, sir. We'll get you back in at the front of the line when you do that. Let's go to Minnesota Dave.
Hey, how's
Dave,
it
welcome.
going, guys?
Good. How you doing, sir?
I'm wearing my black today. The only time I will probably wear black for the.
You're a Hawkeye fan today. You're a Gopher fan, right? You're from
Oh
Minnesota.
yeah, of course I am a diehard Gopher fan. I hate the Hawks, but there's one thing that we all agree on: we hate the SEC. I
We
can't stand the SEC.
We can agree on that. Yes. You
You
hate the
know
SEC, Matt?
what?
Dude,
I
we
was
we
mad.
played South Carolina my senior year, right?
He killed
And
him.
we won like 33-0.
Yeah.
And they talked the entire time. It didn't even feel like we played a football game that game. Like, it wasn't physical, it wasn't anything. But they just chirped and chatted the whole time. And you could see it. You could see number 3, the corner, yelling at the running back when he got stiff armed 10 yards down the field. And it's just annoying to me. But
Why chirp after you just got schooled?
yeah, no, just what it is, man. They just do that.
Kamari was just smiling at
Oh yeah.
Trevor Lout came in to save the day and defend his guy. But yeah, I mean, hey, go back. I'll tell you what. But when my first experience, I was pretty young when this happened. And again, I don't mean to make you feel old, Matt. But in 2000, it was 2013. Was the 2013 Outback Bowl. Rudock gets dinged up, I think, and they bring in C.J. Beathard against LSU. And Beathard had him rolling. You know, that was Goldilocks Beathard, right, with the long hair. And he had him rolling in that game, and all of a sudden, we see LSU guys start to take dives just over and over again. And I'm like, I remember the one guy went down, the big defensive lineman for the Tigers, goes down holding his right leg. And then the gal comes off the sideline, starts working on his left leg.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what's happening here?
When they started making rules for that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, hey, I don't want to put everybody in a basket of eggs, so to speak, Dave, but I made the comment to Mark. You probably heard it yesterday. I do feel like in general, this is an easy way to stereotype, right? The SEC in general is more talented. Okay. They get better athletes, especially at the skill position spots. There's better athletes in the South in general, but I believe they're not as well coached as I think the best coaches are in the Big Ten Conference.
By far.
In general, that also resonates into more discipline. That's why you see penalty numbers far less in the conference. I mean, that's not even close. And we saw that play out today against Vanderbilt.
Yeah. And like I totally agree with that. Just I just never like didn't hate the SEC until basically the voice of college football and all their fans started chatting up. You know, let's face it. I want to know what Darrell's excuse is going to be for how bad the SEC is going to be today. You know, and if Michigan wins, it'll be even better. And I hate Michigan. Well, yeah, everybody hates Michigan, but they're going against an SEC school, so I have to cheer for Michigan.
Yeah, the SEC has had a rough go of it. I called out Missouri. They just looked horrible. I don't know how many bowl games have you watched, Matt? I know some of these probably don't interest you, but
not many, man. But I just keep watching the record kind of climb for us and go down for others. So yeah, you can definitely see it.
Yeah, Missouri looked undisciplined the other night, Dave, and LSU couldn't stop Houston. If their life was on the line. And then today, this is an Iowa passing attack that went off. I mean, this is their best total of the year. Some of these numbers that we're talking about, including for Mark Gronowski, who was our player of the game. But you could have gone with DJ too. I mean, we haven't had Iowa has not had a receiver / tight end total
in a while
yards since Marvin McNutt. We're talking 15 years ago. So
yeah, like the tight ends are back at Iowa. I mean, it definitely shows. I mean,
yep, and they'll get Addison Estringa back next year. He was hurt basically all of this year. I will be intrigued, Matt. I know this is just speculation, but I will be intrigued to see if they hold on to everybody. Because
with that deep room,
it's just a deep room.
It's going to be interesting to see what Iowa gets for a QB too. If they go in the portal, they just try to build up from inside.
Well, it sounds like they're comfortable where they are, but I agree with you, Dave. You know how I feel about the quarterback situation. So, Dave, anything else before we let you slide?
Yeah, just one more thing. How many times do we have to hear about how Vanderbilt almost beat Texas?
Well, hey, this is one thing I mentioned in my preview. They don't have there's a reason they're in the SEC, won 10 games and missed out on the playoff. Like normally if you have a Heisman level quarterback and you're 10 wins in the SEC in this new format, almost every year you're going to make the playoff, but they didn't have strength of victory. Their best win was against Tennessee, that is now a 5-loss team. So even though they played in a very difficult league, they did not win enough games against marquee opponents. So that would have been the game. Had they gone 11-1 with that close win against Texas, they would have been in. You just couldn't have.
Oh yeah.
You could not have denied them that. But I don't think they would have. I don't think they would have gone far, but they would have been in.
But ESPN, Jesus Christ! Like once Vanderbilt scored the touchdown on the hit, like the big, huge, wide open throw, the guy made a great throw, great catch, and then he just blew the safeties away. Right when that happened, all they were talking about, Vanderbilt's fourth quarter comeback. They almost came back against Texas. The whole entire time, like every time Vandy was on the drive, they basically mentioned the Texas game. Why I freaking hate ESPN getting all these bowl games. I really do.
When one network has basically exclusive broadcasting rights to a particular conference, that's what you're going to get. But
Yeah.
That's the world we live in. So, Dave, thanks for calling in, sir, and we'll chat again hopefully soon.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, sir. Oh, I think he said go Hawks. I cut him off. But
Hey, you shouldn't have. Minnesota fan. Yeah. Go Hawks.
I was happy to see PJ win his 7th straight bowl victory, albeit against the Lobos. So,
Is what it is.
I need you to fight with somebody in the chat, Matt.
Me?
Normally, I do that.
Not much of a fighter, but I'll try my best
well,
for you, Corey.
Play defensive line, and then you crossed over. So let's address this comment. Hall, 2 dropped interceptions, torched all day. There's for some reason this narrative with some people that TJ Hall sucks. Like if he sucked, he's their best corner, he's their top corner. This pass defense nationally top 10. They came into this game 7th in the country in pass defense. And oh, by the way, they went up against some of the best receivers in the country. Mekhi Lemon, basically all the guys at Oregon, all the guys today at Vandy, like really explosive. Richardson had the touchdown. He was phenomenal.
Indiana.
Iowa State always has. Yeah, you mentioned Indiana. They're all Big Ten receivers. So can we dispel this notion that somehow Lee and Hall are weaknesses? Because there's a reason they don't get attacked that often.
It's not saying I wasn't cussing him for dropping 2 picks today, because those were at that turning point of the game when it was like 7-3. It was still close. But no, I mean, you'll see. He'll play 7-8 years in the league, and he'll be a good show on defense. So no, I'm with you in crushing that narrative, and our corners and our defense too are put on an island sometimes and are asked to do a lot of things from a pass coverage thing that I'm sure Adam Shada would tell you a few weeks back. But anybody who plays corner in our defense and does it well is a good player. So you can't really argue that.
I want to take a quick moment to thank Farms of America. That's why Matt is here, and it's a new documentary series or docu-series, whatever you want to call it, on YouTube. You can watch it on the Reagan and Massey YouTube channel. And if you've ever wondered what a farm and a farming family has to do to make a living, just watch episode 1 with the Kroul family and then just keep going, because this series shows it like never before. Basically what they've done, they've traveled the entire country, cranberry farms in Massachusetts, crawfish farms in Louisiana, pumpkin farms here in the state of Iowa, oysters out in Washington. So they've kind of covered it all, and they keep doing, we're into the filming portion for season 2. And each episode basically dives into the backstory of how the farm got started, how it operates today, and just kind of the real conversations about those who will take over in this ever-changing landscape. So it's on the Cowboy channel, but it's also on Reagan and Massey's YouTube channel. So the link is in our description. Matt, talk a little bit, because I know we've had a break and we talked about it extensively in the regular season, but that's obviously why you're here, and we appreciate this opportunity to talk football as well. But what can you say about the experience? I know weren't you just recording a podcast?
So to bring you kind of up to speed, Corey. This was 2.5 years ago they filmed our episode, right? And we were kind of hesitant opening up the farm for 7 days in my personal house and family, but they did it the right way and are telling all these stories in the correct way. And basically the only idea or what Reagan and Massey's trying to do or show is just the everyday farms, and covered like you mentioned, every facet of agriculture. So season 1, we just had, my wife and I, Nicole, just had an opportunity to, I'm a podcaster now, I guess, Corey. So I did a podcast and interviewed all those families from season 1, kind of got updates on all their, status, what the farm's doing now, you know, just some of the people that we met in season 1. It was nice to kind of put a face to their episodes. So we did that. And then, yeah, they're more than halfway through, 3/4 of the way through filming season 2. So I think there's a lemon farm. They're going to a crocodile farm. So just like, once again, stuff you don't think about. I mean, I grew up in Iowa and lived 20 minutes from the University of Iowa. So, you know, I'm used to corn, soybeans, and what we do at Kroul Farms. But it's neat for me, even as a farmer, to see some of these different, you know, just struggles that some of these people go through that you wouldn't even think about. And how does this food get to our dinner's table every night is interesting, or how these products, you know, it's not just food. So, yeah, it's a cool thing. And I'm glad they're doing season 2. And I watched all season 1 and excited to see what they come up with on this next one. So very happy that Reagan and Massey, you know, is kind of putting everything behind this project and just show America, Iowans, kind of what we go through on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Reagan and Massey and RM 43 Serious Weed Control. You can watch the series over on Reagan and Massey's YouTube channel. If you want to just kind of express your appreciation for Matt coming on, just go over and watch the show. It's an easy way. It's totally free to watch. And the link is in our description, or you can search Farms of America on YouTube and it'll pop up the entire playlist. So, yeah, it's awesome. So we've enjoyed, I know I can speak for myself, getting to know your family from the show, but also families across the country that are dealing with just a lot of variables. And I'm anxious to see the evolution of the show and the series, and the lemons and the crocodiles.
Who knows, man?
I didn't know we had crocodile farms. I mean, I could see alligators, but crocodile farms.
It might be a gator farm. I don't know what it was. Yeah, it was they're not giving me all the details, but yeah, we'll wait to see. I think that starts. So I think they're going to start releasing some of those podcasts here soon. And then I think season 2 is right around the corner, either March or April. So it's all should happen pretty fast here this late winter, early spring. So excited.
All right, let's go back to our phone line. Let's see if we got OS for Hawks with us. You got us, sir?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
We got you now.
All right. Sorry about that. I would like to put a stick of dynamite into Windows sometimes.
It won't hurt.
Well, no. Sometimes when you have Windows Update, they just automatically change your settings for like microphones and stuff like that. Sorry, that's what I'll chalk it up to. Anyway, I just wanted to reiterate, Matt. I watched the documentary and it was awesome. It was really good, and I recommend everybody watch it. It was extremely good.
Well, they made it educational too. That's the cool part of it. It kind of put some numbers to the game and kind of try and educate people as much as they can.
Yep, I loved it. I disagreed with you on the player of the game. I thought Vanami should have got it easily. Sorry, Corey.
Easily. There's no question. Easily.
I love you guys. You know that. I think Vanami was obviously
he was very good, but Mark counted for 3 touchdowns and nearly 300 all-purpose yards.
Trust me, I'm not discounting what Gronowski did today. He played great.
I am not discounting DJ Vanami. In fact, he's our honorable mention. I don't normally do honorable mentions. I threw that up on our post-game post on X. That was a hard one for me because DJ.
Well, I'm sorry, but Gronowski should have had 3 touchdowns today, because I think we could all agree, and I think Xavier Williams would tell you, he should catch that ball 95 times out of 100. You know, ball was right there in his hands, and he missed it. So I think he would agree that was on him. I also wanted to say, and I agree with Matt about Graves, that in my opinion, that was not a roughing call. The first one might have been questionable. The second one, I don't think was at all. And you guys have talked about the critical thing. I wanted to bring up one thing about that punt.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason that we got that turnover, what I call a turnover on that punt, is because of Caden Weegan. I think he is the main reason that happens.
From a perspective of the delay, just trying.
No, from the perspective of he's such a threat, that caused that issue.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Right. That's kind of what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So he's delaying because he's really trying to avoid something bad happening.
Kicking it to Weegan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And they did kick to him a couple of times, and they covered him pretty well today.
I also wanted to bring up, there's been a lot of talk this season about Gronowski as quarterback. Does everybody know that Gurganowski is a 4.0 student in engineering? He is massively intelligent.
He
And
is.
I should know how hard that is, because my brother is actually a nuclear engineer. So I know how smart you have to be an engineer. So I'm just saying that guy's massively, and he played fantastic today. I thought that's probably the best game that Granowski had all season.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
And that's what you want. I mean, final game.
Yeah.
I just walk away thinking, man, I wish they got him for another year. But
I agree. And I'm only going to bring up one last thing, and it's about who we retain for next season. I think that a couple keys. Well, Vanderzee, I think, will be back no matter what. He's just a red shirt. I think we'll see him for one more. I saw somebody in chat said something about, well, the way he high points the ball, he could see him going to the next level. And I said, well, I agree, but I don't think it's going to be. I think you'll have to have another season of seasoning. I think if we could.
Who?
Vanderzee.
Well, he's not eligible. He's not eligible.
Yeah, I understand that, but somebody in chat said it. I'm just saying that. Yeah,
sure.
No,
he's got to get.
Then,
wait, can we just say this, Matt? You lifted, right? You're a big guy. Reese has got to get bigger, right? He's not a defensive lineman. Is it fair to say like his one thing is still going to be when he goes against real physical?
Some of these dudes at next level, and some of these guys in college, to get off press coverage, you just got to be strong from that aspect, and that's I'm not a critique of a wide receiver by any means, but I'm sure that's one of his main problems is just the physical nature of some of these press corners to get some space. And he's never, this year he didn't expand himself in space that much. He was always covered. He just made great catches. So hopefully, get a little more quicks, a little more, strength, and that's only going to improve his game. And, with him, DJ, and some of these guys, that should be a pretty fun thing to watch if we can get someone to get it to him.
Yeah, all I was bringing up is I think with Vanderzee coming back, Manami, and a couple other tight ends, if we can add a couple more wide receivers, that I've harped on this all season about catching the football. It seems our wide receivers in many critical situations all year, sometimes when the ball is on target, they're not catching it either. But anyway, Corey, I want to thank you. Matt, thank you for being on the show. And also when Don comes on, tell him thank you. And you guys have a happy new year.
Thank you, sir.
You too, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. And I love having to, talk about why Reese Vanderzee's not eligible, simply because that's people thinking good things about an Iowa receiver. And it's been a while since, people have thought anything close to that regarding an Iowa receiver. So good stuff on Reese Vanderzee. Let's welcome in Coach Don Patterson, who is coming at us live from Tampa. Don, welcome to the show, sir. Thanks for being here.
Long time no see, Corey.
You look like you tan. Have you been at Clearwater too much? Is that the deal?
We had a lot of blue sky today. I'll say that.
Figuratively and literally, right?
Yeah, really.
So, Don, I know you missed the first hour and the last half hour with Matt. I'll give you the floor. We kind of ran through some notes from the first half, but just establishing the run game early was huge. Obviously, when people are going to focus in on the illegal kick, which was basically a turnover on downs. And but the passing game, I think, is the biggest takeaway for me that maybe Iowa can take into next year. Yeah, I know they're going to have to figure out what they're doing at quarterback, but you saw Reese Vanderzee, have a nice performance. He was hurt part of the year. Hopefully they get him back healthy next year. And then DJ Vanami with just ridiculously good pass catching numbers today. How surprised were you? I know Vandy's pass defense statistically heading into the game was not very good, but were you surprised Iowa was able to take advantage of that the way they did?
I knew their numbers were not that good, statistically speaking, in terms of defending the pass, but I also recognize, that the league is a good league, obviously. The SEC is a good league. But I was glad to see that we did throw the ball with good efficiency. Just to give you an example, Corey, one of the key parameters when you look at it, what I did is I we haven't had a chance to talk about the analytics, but I think you'll find them interesting. I took 10 games on the part of Vanderbilt, and then 10 games, of course, on the part of Iowa. We all know which 10 games were Iowa. That'd be the 9 conference plus Iowa State. In the case of Vandy, I took their 8 conference games. That's all they've played in recent years. And their best 2 non-conference games, which were only so-so opponents, Utah State and Virginia Tech.
Yeah, that's a crap non-conference.
Yeah. And so here's the bottom line. When you zeroed in on Vanderbilt's 10 games, there were 2 of them that were 100% win. One of them was third quarter scoring, 10 wins, no losses. In other words, Vandy won the third quarter 8 times. And then, as you know, Alabama and Texas both beat them, and they both won the third quarter also. So the other interesting stat was fewer passing attempts. That was also 10 wins, no losses. So the other day when I was on with KCJJ, Pat said, are you saying that if we throw the ball less than Vandy, we win the game? I said, that's what I'm saying. We need to throw the ball less than Vandy. And we need to be efficient in doing it. So another stat that comes into play, yards per passing attempt. I don't know if we won that today or not. The way they gave it, I haven't seen the final stats. But the bottom line, we ran the ball more effectively. We rushed them by more than 100 yards. And really, they didn't have any rushing attack other than Pavia on a flush. That was about it. That's what they did. We ran the ball much better in critical downs. We converted much better on critical downs than they did. Matter of fact, they fell twice in 4th down. I paid a price for that. And the bottom line, when you combine the 10 games on the part of Vanderbilt plus ours, the most important parameters for winning, passing yards per attempt, 17 wins, 3 losses, 85% win. I don't know who won that. I would be curious. Maybe in the end they beat us because they beat us over the top, of course, as you guys know. But the bottom line, at least we were efficient in throwing the ball.
Real quick, Iowa won that category. 9.6 to 9.1.
Good. Well, thankfully we were efficient throwing the ball because without it, I don't know where we'd be. Anyway, other opportunities, red zone scoring success. They're very good in the red zone. The only problem they have, we're also very good in the red zone too. But for much the same reason, we both involve our quarterbacks in the running game down there. It's almost like playing with an extra man, right? Compared to the traditional teams that never run the quarterback. Third quarter scoring, they did win that, but only narrowly. And then fewer passing attempts. Who won fewer passing attempts? I bet it was us.
Let's see. Fewer passing attempts on the day. Yes, by far. 22 to 38.
And I guess we also won. Well, we probably didn't because we struck out one time in the red zone, didn't we? The only bonehead play we had all day, really.
Yeah, they were technically – I know you don't like the way that red zone offense is counted in college football, but 3 of 4, and Vanderbilt was 3 of 3 in the red zone.
Yeah, we were 3 of 4, but it was a legitimate failure, of course. First and goal at the 4. And we've been running the ball effectively.
Yeah,
Man,
so,
you're thinking like I am. For God's sakes, just hammer it in.
well, but the other thing is if you're going to throw a slant, that's what I said to Matt earlier, why are you throwing it to Xavier Williams?
Correct.
You know,
We got, there's one time when Tim got a little bit too cute. We're running a slant with a running back lined up as a wide receiver. And here's a shocker, he might not feel the ball as efficiently as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have bothered me so much if it was third down. The fact we were first and goal at the 4, and we have a quarterback that can run the ball, not to mention a good running game anyway. Why in the world would we throw it?
Right. I don't want to interject here, but we have several calls that kind of have piled up, and I want to get to those if we can. So let's go to our phone line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Coach Don Patterson. Who's on the line?
Brant.
Hey, Brant.
From Cookeville, Tennessee. I'm a Vanderbilt fan,
Welcome.
but I wanted to congratulate Iowa. I've been a Vandy fan for 50 years, and I've been a raging alcoholic for 48 of them. I think Vanderbilt was better under James Franklin than they are under Clark Lee.
Well,
And
is that you frustrated about this game? Or I mean, did James Franklin ever get him to 10 wins?
no, I think he got them to 9
Okay.
time or two, but they were beating Georgia and
right.
Tennessee and whatever. But anyway, Iowa, I had a feeling Iowa would win. Stowers was out,
Yep.
and that's kind of the go-to guy for Vandy, but their defense is not that good. And I think that had something to do with it too, but Iowa is just better. So that's all I got to say. Congratulations. Hey, Vandy fans are used to losing. So congratulations to Iowa.
We appreciate you calling in, sir, and keep up the faith. And I think your program is in good hands with Lee. So best wishes. Next year.
All right.
Thank you, sir. We don't often get opposing fan bases that call in that gracious, Don. That was a nice Southern guy, and I mean, that's a fair argument to be made. Like they have sort of been on Clark Lee has sort of got that program on the Scott Frost at UCF trajectory, right? Like they were horrible 2 years ago. Then last year, like they're hovering around 500. This year they win 10 games. Nebraska paid the price, though, and I know UCF was playing a different league, but Nebraska paid the price because they jumped on the gun there. Clark Lee's got to prove it next year, right? Like this is playing horse, and you get somebody out with the HORSE. Okay, now you got to prove it, and I think that's where we are with Clark Lee. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but without Diego Pavia next year, Don, I know this is an Iowa show, but you're a former quarterbacks coach. Just your thoughts on Clark Lee, and is it sustainable what Clark Lee is trying to do there in Nashville?
Here's one thing that people aren't aware of. One reason Vandy's better than they've been is because of a guy that you're familiar with by the name of Jerry Kill. Jerry, you know where Diego was before he came to Vanderbilt?
I don't.
New Mexico State.
Okay, I did not know that.
Coached by Jerry Kill.
Yeah.
There were other guys that also came from New Mexico State. I'm not sure who, but the most obvious is the QB. And I don't like the guy for his attitude, but I will give him credit for being a solid football player. He threw some nice balls today. He's a deceptive runner. He's a little better runner than what you might think. He proved that today. A time or two. Without his plus yardage, they didn't have a rushing game.
Yeah, is that without studying it a little bit deeper, I didn't expect to see a Vanderbilt offense that finished with literally sub 20 with non-quarterback runs. I mean, literally, they had nobody rush the football other than Pavia. I mean, did they win 10 games that way, Don? I know they were Pavia took on a large workload, but was that consistent in the 12 games you looked at?
Well, here's one thing that might surprise you a little bit. Everybody always talks about SEC schedule, but here's the truth. I went back and looked at their final standings. There were 4 teams that were tied for the title. They all won 7 and lost 1. Vandy played one of those 3 opponents, only one. There were 2 other teams tied with Vandy at 6 and 2. They were all 3 tied for 5th. Of those 2, they played 1, not 2. They played 2 of the top 6 opponents.
Well, you also got to beat somebody, right? Like their best win was that game against Tennessee, and Tennessee's a 5-loss team now. You got to beat somebody.
None of their wins were above against teams that were better than 4-4. That's true. A couple of them, I think, finished 4-4.
Okay, we've got a few more minutes with Matt, and I want to get to a couple of viewer questions here before we move on to our next caller. So I'll give this one to you first, Matt. From a defensive lineman's perspective, how difficult it is to game plan against a mobile quarterback. And I remember the era of 2010. It was right after you left, but it was like those Northwestern quarterbacks, Kafka and Persa, and those guys that like kind of lit Iowa's defense on fire a couple of times, and it just was difficult, even on some of the best defensive linemen. And I'm just curious on your perspective moving forward on this, because we haven't really heard anything substantial about Iowa being in on portal guys. And I know it's been stated a couple of times by Iowa coaches here in the last few weeks that they feel good about Hecklinski and good about Hank Brown, but you never say never on this stuff. I still think there's a good chance they lose at least one of those guys, and then they'll have to go get somebody in the portal. But what Johnny wants to know in the chat is, do you think Iowa sticks with a mobile quarterback going forward? I know I was thinking that as this game was transpiring, that, man, they got to get another guy who's at least halfway what Mark is on the ground, because what a dimension.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, it's pocket presence, and then it's mobile, right? I mean, we're not saying a truly mobile runner that can do it, but a guy who has pocket presence and a guy when it's 3rd and 4 can take the ball down, make maybe someone miss or just run away from someone and get that first down. Because there's nothing more deflating as a D tackle or D lineman. I say D tackle because we're usually a little more hefty and tired at moments, but when they get a 3rd and 4, first down, and you had great coverage, you had a pretty good pass rush, but the dude just sneaks out and runs for 5 or 6 yards, like that just really deflates the defense on a drive. So, I love the mobile QB, but I guess what I'm saying is a guy who has pocket presence that knows when to pull it down and knows. And, Mark was able to do that. And Mark's a more powerful runner than we give him a lot of credit for too. But I just want a guy that has some height and has good pocket presence and can make that 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 and get that first down. I mean, you look at like Mendoza and Fernando, like he can run when he needs to, but he can be a pocket passer too. So it's just interesting to see those guys. So, yeah, I mean, I'm all about getting someone, I guess, can make those plays when he needs to make them.
Don, how impressive was the 51-yard scamper by Mark? Or actually, excuse me, the 51-yard was Minami. Yeah, 45. Is that what you said? 45 or 42? I'm sorry. 42-yard scamper there on the first drive of the game that set up Iowa for that first touchdown.
It was a nice run, no doubt about it. Now you're talking about the flush by QB by Mark, right?
Yes.
Talking about that play.
Yeah.
Nice play because it looked like it was going to be a sack.
Right.
And then he went from being tackled for a logical loss to now making more than just a few yards, making a lot of yards. It was wonderful to see.
He looked a little bit like Diego Pavia did throughout the regular season, and looked like Brock Purdy did on Sunday night against the Bears. And are you a Bears fan, Matt? Because you alluded to.
I don't know what I am right now, man. I've been having that conversation with my kids. Like, hey, we got to pick one of these teams. Like, we're Vikings, Green Bay, we're Detroit, or we're Kansas City, maybe. I kind of lean this time of year or this time of my life, Detroit, maybe, just because I like the way they play. I like Campbell. He's the leader of that defense now. So I don't know, man. I'm still up in the air. Maybe one of my kids will sway me one of these days, and they'll tell me who I need to cheer for. But a lot of my in-laws are Bears fans. I'll say that much.
Was it the Bears game that they had the hook and ladder, or was that a bowl game that I saw the hook and ladder that kind of?
No, that's why I brought it up. An NFL team ran it or did
it.
Can't remember. I know the Chiefs did it a couple weeks ago or this last week. I know they ran one on like a 3rd and long, but Detroit might have. I don't know. I can't remember.
Bleed Old Golden Blue says, Corey, who's your favorite guest? Gary, Jess, or Don? Well, that's kind of first of all, it's a horrible. It's like asking it's like asking a parent who's your favorite
kid. Yeah.
But no. And why is Kashin Alexander not here listed? First of all, Kashin, Don, and Gary have been here so long that they're not guests. But Jess is always fun to talk to, and obviously now we love having Matt on here. And Matt's Don, did you hear Matt is getting into he's leaving the farming industry to become a podcaster?
Yeah, really? Professional podcaster. Yeah.
Well, such a lucrative business. I mean,
I don't know if that would pay the bills all the way, Don. So side hustle.
All right.
Yeah, it's a hard way to financial retirement. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Hawkeye Doug, thank you for the super chat. And it's absolutely a great day to be a Hawk. And Matt and I agree with Doug. We have never seen a guy punt the ball past the line of scrimmage And the commentators on ESPN had never seen that. Don, have you ever seen that? And did you know what the penalty was going to be, a loss of downs and a 5-yard penalty?
In 425 games, I'd never seen it.
Wow.
And the guy next to me said, Coach, were you aware of that penalty? I said, no, I was not.
So is that a situation?
Never seen it. I've never seen it in 37 years of coaching. And honestly, if you didn't know what the penalty was, you would say the officials must have somehow misapplied the rules of the game. Because that's a severe penalty.
They were right on it, though. They were pretty quick with the call.
It's right. It makes sense. If a guy, well, what else are you going to do? You're not going to make him re-punt. You have to make it a loss of downs, right?
Well, I said, maybe they would call it delay of game, I guess, maybe. But I believe they called it improper.
No, it was
improperly kicking the ball or something like that.
Illegal kick. No, it was just
illegal kick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love hearing Coach Don's stats though. 427 games, and I've never seen that. That's pretty crazy actually, because there's been they do the rugby style now more these days. Obviously, the last 5-10 years, and guys don't run 10 yards though like he did. But yeah, interesting deal.
Hawkeye Howard, thanks for becoming a premium member. We appreciate that. And he adds the super chat. He says, a good thing we got a great kicker. Who will be the kicker next year? That's a great question. That's part of the reason. So we have not all, and maybe we can spend the last 10 minutes or so talking about the situation moving. We're going to get back to the game, Don, but with that going on, I want to talk a little bit about the LeVar Woods situation, because when that news broke, my first person that I kind of latched onto was Pat Cashmore, who was the special teams guy at Wazoo with Jimmy Rogers, because it sounded like, and I don't know that we've gotten, I'm sure they have made an official announcement. I'm not following the Iowa State beat, but it sounded like Rogers was planning on keeping the ISU special teams guy in hopes that they could hold on to Conradi. Now, Conradi did stay home. And part of the reason, too, why I thought Cashmore would be a possible candidate is he had, I believe, history with Rogers at South Dakota State. We know there's kind of an Iowa-South Dakota State pipeline now. There's a lot of respect with those programs in Iowa. But also, Wazoo has Drew's younger brother, Jack Stevens, who had a phenomenal freshman year kicking the football. And there has not been any announcement made about what he may end up doing, where he may end up going. But I don't know who the kicker is. And so, yeah, Pat Cashmore, he's off the table. Sounds like he took the UConn job. So something, unless something drastic changes there, they're going to have to find someone else. And it may be someone in-house. I know the trendy name right now that people have thrown out there is Desmond King, because he was around the program a lot during August, and he just retired from the NFL. Maybe they move an Abdul Hodge over and they find a tight ends coach. I guess we'll start with you, Matt. What are your thoughts on LeVar leaving? And then what do you do moving forward? Because it's a unit that's been so dominant for the Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a staple, and that's always been one of coach's things is, 3 phases of the game, and our special teams has always won a lot of games for us. So, LeVar's situation, obviously I've alluded to the fact that we've known him for a long time, and, I've had private conversations even about this a little bit, but yeah, I mean, he's got to do what's best for him. That associate head coach title is a thing that's, helps you in your career. And if he can go to Michigan State and turn that ship around with Fitzgerald, which it sounds like they're kind of putting together a squad to do that. It's just a thing he has to do for his career. But yeah, the replacement, you might be honest with the Abdul. I mean, I know I played with Abdul, and great coach, great human. And, not that we can just fill anybody to coach tight ends, but when you got a deep room like us, maybe we can get a younger guy in there and make that inner squad change, so to speak. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm sure it'll happen here pretty fast. So we'll probably get our answer, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
With all due respect to Abdul Hodge, he came in and didn't have any history coaching tight ends. So, if you feel like he's a good candidate, Don, I would almost rather, unless you just have a slam dunk candidate to fill in as a special teams guy, I might. I'm not a coach, but I might consider that. And they've got such a stable group of tight ends. I think things could more quickly fall apart on special teams than they could at tight ends. Is that
the same trajectory as LeVar? I mean, he was tight ends coach and then jumped to special teams. So I mean, they made that same deal with him. So, coach, he doesn't stray too far from his blueprint. So that might be something that we do.
I'll say one thing about considering place kickers elsewhere. it's a little bit like considering quarterbacks elsewhere. If a guy has proven himself under the gun in difficult situations, that's what makes him an attractive candidate. That's true in a quarterback. It's also true, and a good example is Mendoza, because as you know, Corey, he played very impressively for Cal a couple of years ago. And here's a shocker, he's playing well for Indiana. But you can say the same thing about a place kicker. Maybe it's a guy in a not in a Power 4 conference, but in a Group of 5 conference, or maybe it's a place kicker in the FCS football, but he's performed well under pressure. It really doesn't matter if there's 30,000 seats or 100,000 seats. Pressure's pressure. So there might be a good kicker out there that we would get as a transfer that is already proven with any number of great game-winning kicks.
Can I ask this question, and then we can kind of move on from this? But I think it's easy for fans to draw connections, parallels to a coach who was a player at the position that he's now coaching, and like it makes sense that he's doing well there, right? Tim Lester was a quarterback, right? You expect in general more former receivers. I know John Budmeier is the exception to that, but he's part of the passing game at least. But with Abdul Hodge, they hired him. He's a former linebacker. Like, are there certain positions that are more like, especially when you're opposite sides of the ball? Like, not everybody can be Matt Kroul and just skip from one side of the ball to the other. So, are there certain positions where that's an easier transition? Like, what makes you guys think that Abdul Hodge can be just go in there and all of a sudden he's the guy to recruit and develop good kickers, good returners? Like, what is it about LeVar Woods that made him successful, and what do you look for?
Well, I think in LeVar's case, he took the opportunity and ran with it. And I know a part of doing a job well is really thoroughly investigating all aspects of the job. I don't doubt that LeVar did that. LeVar can talk for days about special teams play. If you want to talk about the argument for using this particular kick formation versus some other kick formation, he'd be able to give you a lot of information about it, and he'd be able to explain why this is the best one to fit what we do. And but I do think you can learn what you need to know over time, provided you got great motivation and you got above average intelligence. He clearly has both.
I think along the same lines, like just connection with players, you know what I mean? Like as a player, you're going to play for a guy that you like or that you connect with. So I think LeVar did an exceptional job of, for what I see, looking from the outside, he's connecting with players, if that's a kicker or a main special teams guy or Weejan or whoever, it seems that he develops those relationships. And I think, Abdul will be the same way or is the same way. And he played 4 or 5 years with the Bengals, and he's a primarily special teams guy because he was a backup linebackers. So when you get exposed to that and that's your job, that was even my job for 3 years, was kick return and some pump blocks and things like that. And I'd never been exposed to that. But when you're in it for 3 years of your life, for Abdul, 4 or 5 years, like you see those schemes, and it's a copycat world of what schemes work and what don't. So, I'm not saying he's the guy, but he's definitely seen some stuff in his past, and he's built kind of like LeVar when it comes to connecting with players and getting guys to play for you.
Did I just hear Matt Kroul put his name in the mix for next special teams coordinator?
Did I? Yeah, I tell him all the time, D-line coach, special teams, whatever you need.
Podcast for special teams coordinator, Farmer.
I'll just be strength conditioning. I don't care. Put me with Ray. We'll be good.
There you go.
No problem.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's see. We've got Lomansky here on the phone line with us. Lomansky, welcome to the show, sir.
Gentlemen, I'm glad I got you both. What a pleasure.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for letting me on, Corey. Matt, I'm a former dairy farmer on a family farm for 9 years, an egg lender for 30, and retired. So nobody's a bigger fan than me of what you're doing, Matt, as far as tourism, getting the word out from farm to city. I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Thanks.
I don't know if you ever heard of the Dairy Foundation in Kelmer, but I was his first treasurer and fundraiser. I worked with 13 extension people to raise money to make that a reality. So I'll
Awesome.
be watching.
Good for you.
I'll be watching your podcast. Don, I thought about you twice, Don. The first time I thought of you, Don, was that exotic play. And I smiled because I thought, I bet Don Patterson is smiling ear to ear and pumping his fists, and that's Iowa football. And I'm going to do the same thing with you, Don, as last year. I'm going to tell you, I hope you're back next year for another season. We need you. And I'll leave you with that, Corey, and go Hawks.
Thanks, Lemansky.
Thank you so much.
Good stuff. All right, we've got one more caller, I think, for Matt. We had our other caller drop off. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Coach Don Patterson. Who's on the line?
Hi, this is Andy.
Hi, Andy.
How are you?
We're doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I just got a couple questions for you. I thought it was a great win we had.
Good.
And I'm so happy. I watch you guys every week.
Thank you.
And my son wants to say hi. Hey, go Hawks.
Okay, go Hawks.
There we go.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thanks for the support.
So I got just a couple things here. So my question is that we are proven that we can be a top 10 team, but we have proven that we can't be an elite team. What has to happen for us to do that?
I'll let Don or Matt answer that. Let's start with you, Don.
Well, I think back to 1985. You don't want to go back 40 years, I guess. But my recall, of course, we were ranked number one about half that season. And that was against some very good football teams also. And obviously, part of our ranking was tied in the way we finished up the previous season, too. So I think it is doable. You know, this year's a prime example. I'm so proud of this team. I know Matt and Corey feel like I do. The real test, you played 13 games. Did you ever lay an egg in any of those games? I would be able to say we did not. Not once did we not show up and compete. Not once did we not have a good chance, even in the late stages, of winning every last game. And there are very few teams that can say that, especially to play our schedule. That's something to be very proud of. We showed up 13 times, and we brought it all 13. And it didn't generate 13 wins, 4 losses by 15 points, but it generated an enthusiasm for the game that all teams wish they could match. Some teams do, so many others do not. That's something we can be very proud of.
Is there really a big gap? I mean, like score-wise, there's not. And I know, the Oregon game and the game against Indiana were at home. That makes a huge difference. I don't think people who have never been to Kinnick really can understand or relate to that. You guys both can. But like, I don't know. I've heard that question before, Andy, and I'm just giving you my 2 cents. To me, they appear to have made a big step in the right direction, and a big part of that is offense, right? I mean, you're not going to be able to beat the Ohio States, the Michigans, even the USCs, the Penn States in most years if you're one-dimensional, and they've been so abhorrently one-dimensional since 2020. Abhorrently one-dimensional, okay? And so, yeah, they've had, first of all, a lot of those top 25 losses have been against the best, against Michigan in the Big Ten title game a couple of times, against Ohio State a couple of times, against a Nico, I don't know, I'm trying to pronounce his last name, at Tennessee. Like, they've had those games, and a lot of them have been away from home, but they proved this year at home. We don't know what they do on the road, but they proved this year at home that they can play Indiana neck and neck, that they can play Oregon neck and neck. They can play USC neck and neck on the road in California. And I think in general, it's because the offense is more balanced. They've punted, like, heading into this game, they'd only punted 39 times. And last year, I believe they punted 63 times last year. And that was a Caleb Johnson offense. Like, that offense was better than 2023, 2022, 2021. They've only punted 39 times heading into today. So I think they're closer. Matt, do you have any thoughts on Andy's question?
I think we see how
Let
powerful.
me just 1 second here. What I'm asking is that if we had an elite quarterback, if we could recruit an elite quarterback. Because we can see with I think Gronowski is a great quarterback. I mean, he did amazing things for us this year. Like turn around. I mean, we were what 119 versus 135 in passing or whatever it was. It was a huge improvement. I mean,
okay.
But what I'm asking is, what if we get like an elite quarterback that we get from the portal, like the Indiana quarterback? Could we do this? Because we have an elite defense. Every single year I get so upset because we have a defense that takes care of the offense. It's never been an offense that takes care of the defense.
You just need 1 million Hawk fans to donate $4 a piece, and we'll be fine. But
the problem, Andy, is the when you're talking about elite quarterbacks, I don't know what Indiana spent on Mendoza from Cal. My guess is they underspent on him at the time because Cignetti's a genius. But if you want like that Darian Mensah kid that transferred to Duke this past year, reportedly got $5 million to go play at Duke and win 7 games. Like those are the numbers we're talking about. There's a rumor out there that this Drew Mestamaker kid from North Texas, he's reportedly going to follow his coach to Okie State. He was looking for $4 or $5 million. So I don't think Iowa's going to.
It's all roulette, right?
Say it again.
It's all roulette, right? You put money on red or black, whatever, and you hope he's going to be a good quarterback.
I guess
we did that with what was the last one from Michigan?
Yeah, McNamara, but they didn't spend $4 or $5 million. What I'm saying is,
point.
I think the experience with McNamara probably burned him a little bit. They paid Mark Gronowski a good amount of money to be here. I think it's fair to say that, but it was nowhere close to like Darian Mensah, Drew Mestamaker territory. And I guess what I'm saying is I don't think as long as Kirk is here, they're not going to do that. They may spend $1 million, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not the financial advisor for NIL, but Matt, I mean.
Can I ask you a question with that statement? As long as Kirk is here, we're not going to win a national champion.
Well, that could be true. I mean, I think that's probably true. Yeah. I think they can make
it.
It
might. But I think very well said, Don, too. I've heard a lot this past month or in the last 2 weeks, like multiple programs, even Vandy,
And I like our fans. I really do. He's been a great thing for us.
Can you hear Matt? Let's let Matt finish.
Well, I think you heard it so many times the past couple of weeks, like programs are trying to emulate what we do. The culture, and I know Iowa fans get sick of hearing culture and winning 8-9 games, like it's a bad thing. But Coach said it, like we showed up 13 times and put our necks out there and competed for each other and gave Hawk fans, because I'm a fan, something to watch and like enjoy watching and being a part of. So, difference between elite, like Corey's saying, difference between elite and good, like, yeah, it's a few plays a year. And that this year is a pure testament of that. We win
100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you're answering your own question a little bit, but yeah, I mean, we've also seen the power of the QB. So, we got a guy that's can lead the team and do it. We're going to have another season like we did. And hopefully the ball bounces the right way in a couple games. And all of a sudden we're 11, 12 wins and we're so-called elite. But, I'm just proud to always, rep the black and gold to the culture and the teams that we put forth. And that's something to be proud of too. So very well said, Don. But yeah, and people all agree with you, sir. It's just, it's what's the difference between elite and having a program to be proud of that wins 8, 9, 10 games every year, most years. Something to be a part of is fun.
How many programs believe me, Andy, I am not the defeatist person. Like I hate when people say, well, do you want to become Nebraska? We can tear that narrative apart completely because I think that's a defeatist mindset. But everybody's trying to do what Curt Cignetti has done. Everybody. We're talking dozens of teams every year are trying to do what they're doing. It's not easy. And especially for a program in Indiana that, I don't know how much money was being funneled in for football, but it's a basketball school. And Don, you weren't a head coach in the NIL era, but if you were a coach, I mean, you're hearing this and you're hearing me say, I don't think Kirk Ferentz is ever going to give the green light to spend, probably more than a couple of million on a quarterback. I don't even think he probably wants to spend that, or probably wants to spend $1 million. He probably has to. But would you, as a head coach,
do we want to win?
Well, but Don, would you as a head coach give that much money for you say, but here's the problem, Andy. You say, do you want to win? There are other positions of need. It's not like they're just, well, I'm going to spend it all at Chuck E. Cheese this weekend. Like, there are other places where you need to spend money. They need to spend money at receiver.
Name a different place where we need to spend money, though.
But
and I'm trying to be super positive.
There are 11
We have a
players on the
spectacular
field.
defense. We have a great offensive line. We need wideouts, but the quarterback starts.
So they
everything.
but they need wideouts. So that's a big one. The wideouts aren't coming for free either. So the money's got to come.
They don't come without a quarterback, though.
I understand. I'm not telling you you're wrong. Don, anything to add to this?
It's no different than, shopping different auto dealerships to buy a certain car. The longer you look, the better deal you'll probably find. So you just got to do your due diligence. You got to decide who's the bargain, who's not. I think it's safe to say there were quarterbacks I would be willing to bet you they got paid more than the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yes, absolutely.
Any number of them. So Indiana made a great purchase.
Correct.
But let's give some credit to Mendoza. And let's give a lot of credit to those teammates in Indiana. Because those guys developed respect. If they didn't have it to begin with, they certainly developed respect for their signal caller. They knew he's getting paid a lot more than they were. In many cases, a lot more. But the bottom line, he's still a team player.
Anything else, Andy, before we let you slide? I hope we answered your question as best we can.
No, I just want to say, hey, I've watched you guys. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go
Thank
Farmers.
You.
Kroul Farms.
Go
Farmers.
100%. Yeah, and I understand. I mean, I don't disagree with what the caller's saying. I just and I've been an advocate. I've been an advocate for the last few weeks, Matt, that I think they do need to go spend money on a quarterback. And everybody keeps telling me Hecklinski's the guy. Hecklinski's the guy. I love when he may be the guy, but is there some fairy that's going around giving people dreams into how are we supposed to know we've never seen him do anything on game day. He may be the guy. And I know Iowa's going to preach that if they decide not to go to the quarterback, that we like what we have. But this idea that everybody knows what's going on at all times, I hate that note. So
this NIL's kind of given fans obviously a jump spring to talk on, like, oh, let's go do this, go do that. It's given them some life, but just gives them a voice. And we're in that world of everyone has a voice or thinks they have a voice. And so, they're gonna push what narrative they want to happen. But yeah, I mean, it's a fine line to go spend $2-3 million on QB and not work. And like Coach said, not spend it. And all of a sudden we got a Heisman or something, something crazy. So like you're saying, do your research and find the guy that fits us and fits our culture. I know we hate using that word, but fits the way we do things.
And let me say this, Corey, about it, because we talked about it before. You heard me say it. I would be nervous if we choose to simply play with the guys we already have in the program, simply because who else has proven much of anything in an actual Division I football game? They're very unproven. Very unproven.
Yes.
And to have no one that's got any proven ability to play makes me very, very nervous.
Yeah.
Because it is a key position.
The thing that fans can at least put their hope in, they can put their hope in that either Hank Brown or Jeremy Hecklinski or Ryan Fitzgerald, if he ends up staying, or Jimmy Sullivan, if he stays, they can hope that one of those guys is developed and ends up being a great young quarterback. Or you can hope that Tim Lester identifies somebody in the portal that, like you said, Don, has a slightly lower price tag, but everybody else is overlooking. That's what you want in an offensive coordinator at Iowa. You want someone that can identify talent that other people are missing. We kind of hope that he would do that at receiver. We'll see if that plays out. But as a former quarterback, you'd hope he can do that there as well. So,
and I'll say this, I would have a lot of faith in Tim Lester's ability to get that done.
Yeah. Elliot, thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciate the donation, the support. Best game I've watched all season. And he's a Badger fan. Congrats to Iowa. He says, Happy New Year to you all. Thank you, Elliot. We appreciate those well wishes and your kind donation. We got Badger fans here. We got Commodore fans.
We're just getting love from everywhere. We're on top of the world, man. 2025.
Well, with all due respect, Wisconsin, they don't really have it's very rare that Wisconsin's not in a bowl. So
postseason.
And I did see this comment as well that I wanted to direct us to before we say goodbye to Matt. We got an Iowa fan in New Zealand in here. So how about that? I always love hearing. Don, you love you love hearing from people across the globe.
Just yesterday, a guy approached us and said, Lisa, who was it? His brother, maybe? That was. Yeah, his brother lives in Costa Rica, and he always listens.
Yeah.
And you remember we had a caller from Costa Rica, I believe, one time.
Yeah.
That's the one. Incidentally, Corey, there are a lot of Iowa fans that really do like what you do. And they mentioned that to me, that they like what we do. And Matt, I include you as part of the team now, too. There are a lot of people that love to tune in, and I'm like both of you. I'm very grateful to them that they think that's a good way to spend some free time.
Absolutely, would echo that. And I guess, Matt, to finish off our segment with you and our season with you, just one more plug for the greatest documentary series that people can watch right now, because it's educational. They get to watch a former Hawkeye, and they're supporting one of our great sponsors. So talk a little bit about the Farms of America project for one more time. It's over on Reagan and Massey's YouTube channel. And for people that don't know, you were featured in the first episode in season 1.
I like it. We can call it the greatest farming docu-series currently. I think we can call it that because they did a pretty good job. But no, first off, thank you. I think I've been on 6 episodes, and I told you my wife's been a listener for 5 years, and your voice is on in the morning in the bathroom and in the kitchen. And so I've got to know you in a secondhand way. But no, good to get to know both you guys, and appreciate you guys having me. And yeah, go check out the episodes. I mean, there's 12 on that first season. Like I said, season 2 is going to come right around the corner, but get a quick fix this winter when this weather starts hitting us here in January, February, and binge watch the Farms of America episodes on the Reagan and Massey YouTube channel. So just stream those; they're free, and yeah, just check it out. I mean, we had a blast, and we got to know that crew pretty well that produces that, and all great humans. So they're doing a great job and telling great stories and doing something that needs to keep happening, and that's what we try and do at Kroul Farms too, is just be an open book, and just I encourage people to go meet their local farmer, buy local, or they need some meat, they need some milk, whatever they need, get out there and meet those people and ask questions, and hopefully they're really happy to answer them. So thank you guys, Coach Don, Corey, appreciate you having me, and I'm sure I'll be hearing your voice in the morning for post basketball and post women's games. So
yeah,
everything you do.
We'll get out to Kroll Farms. I was texting you the other day about this. We'll get out there when it's looking a little bit better than it does now. And absolutely. Shout out to you and Reagan and Massey and Media Stash, Joey, everybody that kind of helped make this possible. It's been fun. Folks can support by going and watching Farms of America, brought to you by Reagan and Massey and presented by RM43 Serious Weed Control over on Reagan and Massey's free YouTube channel. Matt, appreciate you being here, sir. Go Hawks. We'll follow the Hawkeye women, and maybe we'll figure out a way to collaborate again before next year. But
we'll
always
cross paths.
Hawkeye, great.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Have a nice New Year's.
Always love hearing from Matt Kroul, another Hawkeye great who's on the ANF wall, and his farm making a great impact and part of a great documentary series educating people across the globe. So all right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more calls. We've got Trenton, we've got Erica, we've got somebody on our actual phone line. So much more coming up here. We're going to take a 30-second break. We'll be back more with the Iowa postgame featuring Coach Don Patterson.
We traveled 30,000 miles across the U.S. to ask one question. How does the American farmer make a living?
Sorry.
Really exciting start to that series, and it's been awesome to get to know the team over at Media Stash, and now Matt Kroul and his Hawkeye family over in Eastern Iowa and Kroll Farms. So check it out. Farms of America available right now on Reagan and Massey's YouTube channel. All right, let's go back to Coach Don Patterson. We've got him here for the next hour or so as we continue to recap Iowa's 34-27 victory in the ReliaQuest Bowl down in Tampa Bay. And Don, we didn't talk about this after you hopped on, but we did talk about it to start. RTI Threads player of the game, Mark Gronowski, 16 of 22 through the air, 212 yards, a pair of passing touchdowns, one on a beautiful catch by Reese Vanderzee, the other on a pitch back to quarterback play that we haven't talked about. And then also 10 rush attempts for Mark, 54 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown. I could have easily gone with DJ Vanami because he was fun to watch. But Don, isn't it? I know you're an offensive coach, but isn't it better when we're talking about numbers like these in a Hawkeye victory? It just feels better. We need more of these.
Here's the bottom line. The best teams are above average in offense, defense, and kicking. At least above average, if not better than that. Truthfully, we've been fighting with a short stick in terms of how our offense has been able to carry their share of the load. But not so much since Tim Lester's arrived. That's an improvement. You know, the offense is doing their part. We won today 34-27. I made this comment to Lisa when we were 31-17. I said, if we don't make another score, we're going to lose the game. And I think we certainly might have done that. Really, the drive of the game only produced 3 points. But you know the drive I'm talking about, Corey. We burned up about 5 minutes in the fourth quarter when every minute mattered. And it still would have been unproductive, except we were in field goal range. And we went up by 10, not 7, as a result of that drive. We burned a lot of clock by running the football and converting any number of times. And when we did stall out, number 18 came through again. I'm so happy for Drew that he finished on a high note tonight.
I agree. Yeah, it was great to see him make both of his field goals, and the second one was just huge. And you could kind of see on his face when they zoomed in on him, I think he knew it was his last field goal try, and to make that one,
meant a lot.
Yeah, it had to have meant a ton for him. And you're a former quarterbacks coach. What can you say about Mark Gronowski?
Can't say enough about Mark. I'm really happy. This trip, for the first time, I had a chance to meet his mom and dad. And I felt like I knew him already because you know the story behind J.R. Nicholas. J.R. trained Mark when he was a young man. Excuse me. Of course, as you know, he played for me. And I knew what kind of person Mark was before I ever met him. I never talked with him any length of time. He's just a wonderful young man. He's the kind of young man you'd like to have as your son or as your son-in-law, whatever the case might be. Great competitor, very unselfish, just wants to do his part to help us win. He's not going to ever do anything other than what's in the best interest of the team. Those are the guys you appreciate. I was able to share with Mark's mom and dad how much I had appreciated Mark after getting to know him better. And of course, as you know, Corey, I got to watch him play for South Dakota State too. And even back then, I was impressed with him. So it doesn't surprise me that he's done such an outstanding job for us this year in leading our offense.
All right, let's go back to our phone line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Coach Don Patterson. Who's on the line?
Hi, Alan. I wanted to speak to you because you called me out on my TJ Hall comment earlier.
Yeah,
okay?
it was a horrible take.
We could disagree on this.
Well,
I
go ahead.
think you're
You can go ahead
absolutely
and disagree.
wrong. Can I
no.
talk about? Let me talk about.
Well, hold on. Let me just make something very clear. You can say whatever you're going to say, but if the kid gets drafted, then that means
he will not get drafted.
Okay.
I will guarantee you he will not get drafted.
Whatever you want to guarantee, Alan. But
You shouldn't make that guarantee because you can't back it up.
Yeah, you don't.
He is a horrendous football player.
Oh,
and he was terrible today. He was terrible today. That's my take.
By the way, he was third team All Big Ten this year.
I mean, there's a reason why he's the number one corner at Iowa under the leadership of the best DBs coach in the country.
Okay. He was horrible today. I'm just going to say that. He was horrible. And remember, right before the field goal, that was pass interference. They didn't call it, but that was pass interference in the end zone. They didn't call. I'm shocked. That was pass interference.
What was pass interference?
I've seen what?
What was pass interference? What are we talking about?
The play before they kicked the field goal to make it 34-27, that was pass interference. They did not call it on TJ Hall. It was. I'm sorry. They called many plays like that this year. I'm shocked. Even the announcer was shocked they did not call
So
that.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious if he's horrible, then Phil Parker has to be doing a horrible job. Listen, let me finish my statement. If he considers TJ Hall to be their best corner, which he does, then he must be doing a horrible job 1 year removed from winning the Royals Award. Is that fair? He's doing a horrible job.
First of all, the cornerbacks this season were terrible for Iowa.
Quit saying the same.
He's lucky that Jalen Watson
real quick
is worse than TJ Hall. Jalen Watson was brutal today. He was brutal.
Then, like I just said, what you're saying, if what you're saying is
I
true,
just think
then Phil Parker has done a horrendous job. That's
in the last 2 years, this defense has not played great. No.
Well,
I love Phil Parker. Okay, I love Phil.
Would you value Indiana's opinion?
On this defense.
Would you value Oregon's opinion? Did you play college football?
I don't think. First of all, the weather was a huge factor. First of all, they ran for 350 yards in that game. Okay, Don, please.
What does that
they ran right over them in that game.
What does that have to do with TJ Hall then?
To do with TJ Hall? Yeah, you're just changing.
TJ Hall is not a good player. He's not. I don't think I've seen a guy. I was hoping he would progress in the 4 years he's been here. I just don't see it.
Are you aware that he's been invited to play in the Senior Bowl?
And I've seen really good quarterbacks.
Okay, we're just going to put him on hold. Go ahead, Don. Respond, and then if he wants to sing on the line. Nope, he just hung up. I'm not going to have you talk over Don. I'm not going to have you talk. You can talk over me some, but if you start talking over Don, I'm just going to cut you off. Look, I get you have a difference of opinion. I think you're totally wrong. I do think he's got a good chance of being drafted. And if he doesn't get drafted, by the way, you can still be a really good college football player and not be drafted. Like, just ask a guy named Jay Higgins, who wasn't drafted and was a phenomenal Iowa linebacker. So that is not the end-all, be-all, but I actually think he's got a good chance of being drafted. And I don't know that I can sit here and entertain the so-called logic behind saying something like that Iowa's top corner is horrible when he's part of a room that's coached by Phil Parker, who's known as the best DBs coach and maybe the best defensive coordinator in the country. Like, I don't know if he's just trying to ruffle people's feathers by saying that, or if he actually believes it, Don, but I wasn't going to sit here forever and argue back and forth.
There are 18 teams in the Big Ten, many of which play outstanding football. It is not easy to be first, second, or third team all Big Ten. That's hard to do. TJ was able to get that done this year.
Yeah.
And by the way, he has been invited and has agreed to play in the Senior Bowl also.
Yeah, and by the way, guys don't get voted all Big Ten at any level if you're horrible at what you do. So,
correct.
Again, it's not Iowa voting him on the all Big Ten team. These are opposing coaches and these are media people that follow the sport. So, I just don't know what the point of arguing a pointless argument is. But anyways,
I think we must give a lot of credit to Vanderbilt's pass offense. By the way, Pavia this year threw for 3,200 yards. This is the way Vanderbilt plays. They throw for a lot of yards against everyone. They got us too.
Let's go back to our phone line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Coach Don Patterson. Who's on the line?
This is Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, I disagree with the last guy. I thought TJ Hall played a very good game. I think he raised some of his draft status in today's game. So I don't know what that other caller was.
He went up against.
I thought he played a good game.
He went up against ridiculously talented receivers all year. Like the dude again. I know Deshaun Lee gave up the slant for a touchdown against Indiana, but like they had an all Big Ten receiver that's an NFL guy. Rutgers had two, Ian Strong and KJ Duff, two NFL guys in Piscataway. As bad as that team is this year, they are not bad at receiver and they're not bad at quarterback because they think Kaliakmanis can sling it. And then you look at a team like Oregon. They got skill position talent everywhere. Vanderbilt's got skill position talent everywhere. Makai Lemon is an absolute stud at USC. So I don't know that he's going to be, and we didn't even talk about Iowa State, who seemed to always be good under Matt Campbell at receiver. I don't know that he's going to be drafted, but I know his measurables are going to be pretty good. Teams are going to like his length. They're going to like the fact that he was a 3 years guy at Iowa. I mean, he played basically since his freshman year, sparingly his freshman year. But no, I mean, Don, people aren't going to listen to you at times because they think you're biased because you coached his dad, and I get it. But like Phil is the one endorsing him, not us. Phil Parker is the one who he's not playing favorites because of TJ Hall, the fact that TJ Hall's dad played for Don Patterson.
No.
Phil couldn't care less. So anyways, go ahead, caller, if you have anything else, but I agree with you.
I agree because like what you said, is the measurables when you go to the combines. I mean, yeah, you can be a great college player, great everything else, and yeah, you don't get drafted or you get drafted late and you might stick with a year or two in the NFL and then you're done.
Right.
The NFL looks at these measurables. I mean, where somebody never played much, but they measurables good. They have a good combine with the speed and everything else, and they get drafted high. And so that's how it works. But no, what I wanted to say I thought that was the best game Mark Gronowski played all year. He just looked very comfortable the whole game. You know, he definitely one of the main reasons why we won the game. And I just thought he played a tremendous game. And also, I don't know what you guys think, but I think comparable to DJ, our tight end, that is comparable to George Kittle like player.
Okay. Well, George wasn't as good at Iowa as he is in the NFL, but yeah, that's interesting. How do you look at tight end? I struggle to look at tight ends, Don, and kind of see, not that I don't see differences between tight ends, but how do you look at tight ends and say, yeah, this guy kind of resembles him, or this guy's more of this type of a tight end? You coached tight ends before. How do you do that?
Well, the thing I told when I first talked to Benami for any length of time, I said, one of the things I like about you, when you catch the ball and you turn downfield, you're not lumbering downfield. You're sprinting downfield.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. Prime example today, what most people call wide stick, let's call it wide flat, same thing. The little short down and out that he caught, supposed to be worth 5 yards, turned into 51 yards, I believe it was. However many yards, I don't know, but the beauty of it, he turned downfield, and if I'm not mistaken, the hand he was pivoting on his left leg, and he put his hand down to be able to keep his feet, and then go downfield and pull through that first tackle that should have been made for a short game, except he didn't allow it to happen. Turned a short play into a big gainer, all because he was athletic enough to be able to get that done.
Yeah, and I think the commonality that I've seen with Iowa tight ends is they're great runners, and they've got great balance, like Laporta and Kittle and DJ are great examples of guys that can take a hit, spin off of guys, keep their balance, and lumber down the field and without lumbering, if you will.
Without lumbering. It's their version of a sprint.
Right, exactly.
Doesn't look like a wide receiver, but it looks the way it should look. You know, they're trying to make yards as quick as they can.
What I'll be curious about, callers, is does Iowa lose anybody in that room here in the next couple of weeks? Because it is a pretty deep room. Michael Burt was hurt today, so he was not in pads, but they've got Zach Ortworth back. They get Addison Estringa back for an extra medical year. So I will be curious. I will be curious to see what they do at that position as far as tight end is concerned. And then also, I know LeVar Woods has made the comment that he believes Mason Woods will stay, but it's also Mason Woods' decision. He's part of that tight end room, part of a building piece for the next few years. He could end up going in the portal here in the next 2 weeks, and I wouldn't blame him for doing that. I don't expect that, but I also wouldn't blame him. So, yeah, tight end is an intriguing one and should be a strength next year regardless.
Yeah, I could very easily see possible maybe losing 1 to 2 to the portals, like what you said with DJ, what he did at the end of the year. I mean, he could barely be the starter going into next season. Then, yeah, you have Ortworth and Estringa back, plus they talked a lot during this bowl prep how Thomas Meyer stepped up in the bowl prep, and he saw some good playing time today that, he's really taken a step forward. So, you're talking 4, 5, 6 deep that you could go and tight end. So,
4, 5, 6 deep. And that's not counting, potentially a Mason Woods that is tight end in the making. And let's see, am I missing somebody? Is there somebody else? I feel like I'm missing somebody besides Meyer and Burt. But I will say Abdul Hodge, guys have still wanted to come here. They've gotten good prospects out of the portal. They also got, that's what I'm thinking of. They also got the kid from Norwalk who's a 4-star, who reclassified.
Luke Brewer.
Luke Brewer, thank you. Reclassified. He's a 4-star. He'll be in here in 2026 as well. So that's a good point.
And then you got Cooper's brother coming in the year after that. So
yes, absolutely. Jax DeJean is coming in to be a Hawk as a tight end as well. Absolutely. Good point.
The last thing I had, it was Deshaun Lee scratched today. I didn't see anything. I don't know if he played or not. I didn't really see him out there.
I believe what was the word on Deshaun, Don? I did see that prior. Let me go.
I didn't see through an injury report. I didn't see an update with somebody that was going to miss that typically played, but I was curious. To my knowledge, he was not on the field today at all. Is that true?
Yeah, let me pull this up. So I believe that's the case. Yeah, because Chad likes to go to the Des Moines Register, tweeted out prior to the game starting that Watson was operating as the starting corner opposite Hall, and then Rashad Godfrey, Jacob Wallace were the number 2s. So yeah, Deshaun's a guy that they'll need back next year. So those, for some reason, people like to beat up on Iowa corners, but those 2 guys were pretty good this year, in my opinion. And Deshaun's going to need to be back, and if they can have a baseline of Deshaun Lee and Jalen Watson heading into next season, you continue to grow Rashad Godfrey and Jacob Wallace, a couple of really young guys. Someone replied to my comment about Shaheed Barros earlier and said that he's potentially waiting on a medical hardship, and maybe he could come back, the transfer from South Dakota who didn't see the field this year. But that'll also be a position. Losing your top guy, they'll want to figure out a way to kind of revamp there.
I guess one last thing, since you brought up Godfrey, this popped in my head. I was just curious what Don's perspective was since he was at the game. How that one play, the kickoff return that Vandy had, and that player he got serious air. He got flipped all around. He was like at least 10 feet high, and almost could have landed on his head, but good thing he didn't. That was kind of interesting.
I've never seen a guy go that far up in the air, Don.
Here's the truth. Just remember this: when you leave the turf, you do not accelerate when you're in the air. You accelerate by putting your foot in the turf and driving forward with your legs. That's how you accelerate. So if you're up in the air, I know everybody remembers our Penn State running back that did it so effectively in college and is one of the best backs in the NFL, no doubt about it. But in general, you're better off keeping your feet on the ground and making your moves from side to side rather than straight up and down.
Well, thanks all for what you guys do for this year. It was one that season, but it still was a good season. So good things to take into next year.
A lot of fun moments. We'll wait 9 more months for the next episode.
Actually, yeah, the real fun season starts here in a few days with the transfer portal.
True. Yeah, that's true. We're going to have plenty to talk about over the next few weeks.
So, all right. Have a good day. Thanks for taking my call.
Sir. Appreciate the call. Good stuff. All right. Before we go to our next caller, the phone line, I've been displaying the phone line across the bottom of your screen. It's 515-635-1601. Big thank you to Brad Van Meter and his State Farm team. I just talked to Brad here the other day. And let's see, we've got feedback from some people here lately that they've saved some serious dough by going down to Brad and switching their insurance policies over to him and his State Farm team. Give them a call, 515-256-6480. My guess is they're not in the office tomorrow, but they will be back Friday. So, again, 515-256-6480 or online at bradvanmeter.com. Brad Van Meter and his State Farm team on the south side of Des Moines. All right, let's go back to our phone line, we've got Trenton, who's been on hold for quite some time. Trenton, welcome.
Hey, fellas, how you doing?
We're good. How are you?
Good. Oh, good, man. So I guess I was wrong at the beginning of the year after the Iowa State loss. They didn't finish 5-7, so that's a good deal.
I do remember that.
I did say that. Yeah, I was awfully upset, but I'm the opposite today. I mean, I'll say this. I always say if we lose to Iowa State, it's going to be a rough year, and I'll always believe that. But I also always believe you get a bowl game like this against a top 14 team that honestly should have been in the playoff and go out and play the way you did. This was one of the funnest Iowa games I've watched in a long time, man. Like this, when you can win games this way, and then you can also count on your defense to win you some games. Like the Iowa offense won this game, right? I mean, outside of no, I'm not even going to say that. I was going to say the kick that didn't count, right? Iowa's in positive territory right away at the 10, right? I mean, whatever. But I don't know, guys. This is super exciting. The trajectory into next year, I think, is big. I'm just going to say a couple things, then I'll get off and let you guys talk. But TJ Hall played a hell of a game. He saved a touchdown, in the third quarter when he laid out, tipped the ball, and it went off the Vanderbilt receiver's chest. That was a touchdown if TJ Hall doesn't make that play. I understand he dropped a pick, but he was all over that dude there.
There's a reason why, like, if guys are dropping picks, unless they're just point blank picks, they're putting themselves in position to make a play on the ball. Like
100%. Yeah. Like
let's not lose sight of the big picture here.
Yeah. And what Vanderbilt does on offense, like you slowed them down. You did what you had to do to win this game. And that's all you can ask for as a fan. You don't have to you're not going to shut every team out every night. Like that's not going to happen. Iowa won a different way tonight. It was so much fun to see. And when it comes to next year, guys, I think Hecklinski's the guy. I don't know. Everything I hear, everything everybody else is talking about.
That's the difference, Trenton. Everything you hear. That's why I'm so careful not to buy into what I hear, because I'm not saying he is or he isn't, but where are you hearing that?
Just a bunch of beat writers, right?
Media
like
people,
stuff like that.
Media people who in general don't really know. They're just repeating what they've been told by sources inside the program, or I don't think in an ideal world you want to have to keep grabbing guys in the portal every year.
No.
But I also know this is not an ideal world. And I hope Hecklinski's the guy. The other thing is, it sounds like Warren Ruggiero is gone. And so I know it sounds like Hecklinski is staying put, but he was also a Warren guy. He came up with him from Wake. So I don't know. I mean, if they lose one more, I think you have to go to the portal just for a numbers game, because they've already lost Stratton and they've already lost Gronowski, and they could easily lose Fitzgerald if he goes to play for his dad. So then you're going to have to go to the portal. And if you're going to go to the portal, see if you can get a guy that might be able to compete for the starting job. Don't, with all due respect, don't bring in Deacon Hill. Like, bring a guy who is legitimate that you think might be able to push Hank Brown and Jeremy Hecklinski.
I'm nervous if there's no video to look at, no video to study. I'd like to get a look at a guy playing in games.
Well, he did, he played okay in the Kids Day Open practice, but that's that done. I mean,
I'm pretty good on the practice green too, Corey.
Yes, as am I. So
I get it. And my hope is that Hecklinski is the guy, and they already know it. And if it's not him, then fine. Then let it be Hank Brown. I hope it's one of the two. I'm not partial to either one. I don't care.
I do too.
But if you have that going into next year with finally a quarterback that's had 2 years in this system, and you saw Mark, he made a ton of checks today at the line. And if you notice, the Vanderbilt D line would stand up and point one way and the play went the other way. They honestly didn't know what the check was, which honestly surprised me. But you get a guy in his second year in this system, and let's be honest, go spend the money at receiver, and go spend it. I don't care where else you spend it, because I honestly think they're okay everywhere else. I really do going into next year. Receiver's my big thing. If you can spend $2 million, give a couple guys $1 million. I know receivers get a lot of money too, but they're not getting quarterback money.
So just this isn't going to turn into a preview for 2026 yet, but are you? I'm not saying they won't be good, but how confident are you that the offensive line is just going to figure out a way to replace Dunker, Jones, and Stevens? Those are 3 big pieces gone.
Yep. No, I don't disagree with you. And here's what I think happens. I think they're at the reload phase. You look at the past, all these recruiting classes and all the offensive linemen and the high caliber players that they are. I think we're at a reload phase on the offensive line with George Barnett leading the way. And what he's done, I really do. I think we're at reload phase. I don't think we're going to really miss all that much.
I think this is the prove it. I use that illustration of, the prove it shot in a game of horse. This is the prove it shot for George Barnett, right? He's lost some pieces here in the last 2 years. They've been really good, but now it's prove it. What's been the development behind those starters, Don? What's been going on behind the scenes with the guys that aren't playing? What's been happening with the Leighton Jones and, the Jack Dotzlers and the Cannon Leonards? Trevor Lauck and Cade Pieper, they're back. Great. They need both of them. But Don, give us some insight. I know you're not an offensive line guru, but give us some insight into what you think development has looked like for those backups.
Well, one thing that is so important, just being able to practice for a bowl game, all that extra practice time does matter because there's time to give reps. Let's face it, for a short time, you don't know you're going to play in the bowl game. So you have a chance to bring along all those guys that don't get a lot of playing time on game day, bring them along and develop them so that they're better prepared to play, even if you need them in the upcoming bowl game. Even if you need them today, the fact that they practice for 15 times puts them in better shape to compete in a game. I'm talking about guys that really haven't played much up until right now. And thankfully, we didn't have to play a lot of those people today. But the point is, they're better prepared now to play next fall than what they were 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So, and then, of course, we build on that with spring ball, and then summer counts for something, too, not to mention fall camp. And finally, when September rolls around, you do see a significant improvement in someone's game as long as they're doing all the right things that you ask them to do. And, of course, they're getting superior coaching. And that gives them a chance to make those strides so that they can eventually be a lot like Jennings Duggar and our All-American center and all those other guys that have played well for us, too.
And I'll say this. Here's a name to watch, Trenton, because I don't know what his status. I haven't talked with him since earlier this year. The transfer from Ferris State, Bryce George. Does he get another year? Is there a possibility of him getting another year? Because we thought he may come in and be the starting left tackle. He came in and didn't play. So I know he's been dealing with some injuries, but man, he physically is there. I think the speed of the game, Kirk indicated that to us back in August, that the speed of the game was sort of new to him going from D2 to Big Ten. So he's a guy to really keep your eye on heading into spring if he can get another year of eligibility. And then I mentioned a couple of them, Cannon Leonard, Bodie McCaslin, Luke Allgaier. I know he came in as a freshman. People liked him. Jack Dotzler's got one more year available. And then, Will
Mislinski done?
Mislinski, some of these are rumors. I've not had a conversation with Michael Mislinski, but somebody said that they think he may get another year back. He's already a graduate. But yeah, he'd be another guy if he can stay healthy. He's got tons.
He stays healthy, right? Yeah. So I guess that's just where I'm at looking. Yeah, I don't want to make this a next year show either yet. We can do that later. But yeah, I guess that's all I got. I'm super optimistic going into next year. I really don't see a ton of weaknesses. Lost 4 games by 15 points. I was at the Oregon game. It was still a blast, like soaking wet. Like those are the things you live for, to have a chance. And we had a chance this year. Yeah, it's what ifs, but we were right there when it mattered, and the ball bounces a couple different ways, a couple different games, and we might be doing a post-game show tonight with another playoff win, so I don't know. That's just where I'm at. I'm super optimistic going into next year. Thank you guys for everything you do, and Happy New Year, fellas.
Go Hawks, Trenton. Thank you for being here. Yeah, all positive. Anything to kind of piggyback off what Trenton finished with there, Don?
Well, I just have a lot of faith in George Kennedy for his ability to bring guys along. We saw some examples of that over this season, and we'll see him again next year, too.
Wait, real quick, who's George Kennedy?
Did I say that? I'm sorry.
Who's George Kennedy?
He's an actor, I think, isn't
he? George Barnett. That's who we're talking about. Yeah, George Barnett. I knew who you were talking about.
Yeah, George Kennedy. He's an actor. George Barnett. George Kennedy's a good actor, too, incidentally. But he's not much of a line coach, I'm sure. But George Barnett is. George did a nice job with the players, and I know this for a fact. George understands. Let me brag on George Barnett just for a minute. One of the things about being a good coach, Corey, is the players have to understand that this man that's working with me really cares about me. He treats me a lot like he might treat his own nephew or might treat his own son. And when you have that kind of relationship, the players understand at some point, this man cares about me, about my well-being, not just as a football player, but as a student athlete, and for that matter, cares about the relationship I might have with my family. He cares about my future. And I've always said this, and Jim Tressel said it famously one time about players. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's been so gratifying for me, Corey, in retirement now, to hear from players that are able to tell me, Coach, you made a difference in my life. That's so meaningful to hear that. High school coaches get to hear that same thing sometimes from their old players too. But George Barnett is just, the players, they know he cares about them. And I talked to a player not too many years ago that said they know for sure that Coach Barnett cares about them. They want to play for him. They don't want to disappoint him. And that's one of the qualities of being a good coach. I've always told young guys becoming head coaches, I said, you got to have 2 things on your side in terms of relationship with players. You must be liked and you must be respected. And 1 out of 2 will get you fired. You have to be liked and respected. George is liked and respected by his players. And that's part of the key to our success with our offensive line.
Absolutely. And some of those guys, like they've been able to do a nice job recruiting. I know they've missed on a couple of guys, high profile, like the Proctor saga and, the Nick Brooks situation, but they've got good pieces in there. I mean, Trevor Locke was a really good prospect out of high school. Lucas Allgaier, really good prospect out of high school. And then they've also found some diamonds in the rough. Cade Pieper was a nobody, with all due respect to Cade Pieper in high school. He was undersized, wasn't big enough. Like they've done a nice job developing some of these players, and it did take time. I mean, there was some heat down on George Barnett a couple of years ago, and fair enough. I mean, it was not a good offensive line. It's ironic how the offensive line has come together right when Brian Ferentz left. I'm not saying there's a direct connection because Brian was a former center himself, but it is interesting that the development there happened to kind of come together his first year away from the program. But whatever. Let's go back to thank you, Rexron, by the way, in the chat, who is expressing his appreciation for the show. We appreciate you being here as well. There is a super chat here from Katie. Katie Lee says, Happy New Year to you all. Thanks to Corey, Kyle, Don, and Matt for your time and expertise. You keep us informed and entertained. Thank you, Katie. Very much appreciate you being here and for your donations. I recognize your name from past super chats, so Thank you so much for that. D. Rollifson, all-star cast today. Banter with Jess was entertaining. We'll miss LeVar. Thank you, D. Rollifson. And it is always fun to have Jess Settles on the show. We got him from Des Moines the other day, so that was fun. Joey Bruner. Joey up at Media Stash. He's a big part. He and his team up at Media Stash in Wisconsin, a big part of Farms of America and how that program came together. Thank you so much, Joey, for your support of the show and for all the help you've given, support here, and just putting together, being a part of that great project that is informative and entertaining and appeals to so many people who watch this show. So thank you, Joey, and appreciate your super chat here. He says, thanks, Coach Matt and Corey. Great show. Again, thank you, Joey. Let's go to our next caller. We've got Erica on the line. Erica, welcome back.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a bit hectic recently, so I haven't been on as many shows this season, but
okay, you're over there on Mark Rogers shows. You moved on. You moved on to bigger and better.
well, that's not true either. I'm not always on his show either, actually.
It's okay. We'll forgive you. We'll forgive you.
Forgive me, very generous, although I'm not over there very often either. But anyway, I do watch your women's basketball shows from time to time, but I don't say as much on those because I'm not as versed in women's basketball. But anyway, listen, I am very happy that we broke that, that bad omen, that bad, horrible reputation we have of not beating ranked teams.
Yes.
I am so happy we kicked that to the curb because I feel like as long as we continue to perform at a high level on offense, we're going to kick that reputation that we were stuck with from Brian Ferentz's time here. And I think that needs to happen for us to advance. Because I'm sure that recruits are still looking at, how we played during that time. And that's still obviously viewed as a negative. But I think that nationally, people are starting to, especially after today's win, people are starting to turn around their opinion on us, which is good in all regards. It means we might get more swarm donations. It means that we won't have as much negativity around our team. It means we get better recruits. So I think it's all positive. And I just wish that Mark had another year of eligibility, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
I know that's not going to happen. There's no way. Like, he doesn't have a medical red shirt coming to him or anything. So I know that he's done. And I think that as a fan base, we should be thankful that he chose us. And he really, even though, there were definitely times like at the whole, looking at the whole of the season, there were definitely times where there was some improvement needed. The best decisions may not have been made or the best calls may not have been made. But I think overall it was a good season, even if, we didn't get to the promised land of the playoffs. So I think it's, positive. I think we're going up from here. And I'm very excited about our tight end room too, going forward, because man, like DJ Vanami, or however you pronounce his name, I don't think I'm pronouncing it right. He's a force to Vanami. Okay. I think he's a force to be reckoned with, to be honest. I mean, he's only a freshman. Look at him already. He's already developed quite a bit. I'm impressed.
He is he's an interesting kid. I mean, this is not the first time they've seemingly found somebody that was ridiculously under-recruited at tight end. And you would almost think, Don, you and I have talked about it, that Iowa, given the reputation they have as tight end, you would just be going out and getting the best tight ends on the recruiting cycle and be able to deal with those guys. But no, it's like TJ Hawkinson was, what was he? Was he Sheraton, or he was some small Iowa town, wasn't real highly recruited. Noah Fant was a defensive end in high school. George Kittle wasn't some really highly touted kid, but they do a great job of developing that position, and they've done it with several different tight ends coaches. So it's something in the water there, and it's got to be culture based to some extent. And they've just done a nice job identifying and developing.
I think part of that also goes to, the reputation we sort of have in the NFL when coaches look at our tight ends and stuff like that, is that they're great at blocking. And I think that comes from the fact that we're so good at developing O-line. So I think there's some connection there for sure, probably. I don't know, I'm not an expert in any of this, but that's my educated guess, is that since, O-line, a big part of what they do is to block for us and to protect the quarterback. I think whoever's helping the O-line become effective at that is helping the tight ends become strong at that skill as well. And probably Kirk has a lot to do with that. As hard as I am on Kirk sometimes, I give him credit where credit is due. And I think that's an area where Kirk undoubtedly has his hands on it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Don, anything to add to that?
No, I just feel that our culture does matter. Those players are aware. In that tight end meeting room, there are pictures up on the wall of previous tight ends that were not household names when they went to Iowa, but they sure are now.
Yeah.
That goes back all the way into the 80s, as you know. So I'm just very proud to be part of that tradition at tight end. Proud of the guys that played in the 80s and 90s. And now over Kirk's 27 years, so many other tight ends too, really to give us every bit a reason to claim that we are tight end you. And that's not going to change anytime soon.
Yep, definitely. Exactly. And then another thing too, I wanted to comment on and I know this show isn't meant to look into next year, but there was talk a bit ago about, if Hecklinski's ready and stuff like that. And I wanted to maybe pick your brains about this a little bit. I know that we got a pretty good quarterback out of the state of Utah, 4-star quarterback who's coming in as a freshman, Traden. Yes, that's right. Sorry, my phone is going crazy. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's coming in. Do you think there's any chance he gets some run next year? Or do you just think, no, it's not going to be him because he's not going to have had the development yet?
Don, you know what Brian used to say, or I should say what Brian, when he was the quarterbacks coach, the quarterbacks and the coaching staff would make comments like it takes at least a year to a year and a half to learn the offense. It's very rare that you see true freshmen play. Malik Washington did it this year at Maryland and was pretty good, but that's not very common. So I don't expect, of all places, I don't expect it to happen at Iowa. Now there's a greater chance it happens now under Tim Lester than under Brian, but Don, Traden Bessinger is a true freshman coming in as a 4-star.
Well, one question I would have, is he going to be with us this spring, or is he not going to show up until the summer?
I believe he's enrolling early. Yeah.
If he's going to be around all spring and all summer, I think it's entirely possible that he'll be ready to compete on the field in the fall.
Bring it on.
Having said that, he obviously won't have the full pie. He'll just have part of the pie.
Yeah.
And the beauty of calling plays for a guy that's not very experienced in the position, you just simply cut back on what you ask him to do. Don't give him too much rope, he'll hang himself. But let him do the things he knows how to do. And I think that's what Maryland's trying to do with their quarterback this year too.
I think that at the very least, if he comes in and makes it a more competitive room, I think that's a win. Because it's obvious competition's always a good thing. That'll make Hecklinski and Hank Brown even better, probably. Even if Traden doesn't start in his freshman year, which that's a high expectation. I'm not saying I expect that, but even just by going in and being competitive, that's a great thing for the quarterback room.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but you lose Mark Gronowski, you lose Jackson Stratton, and you're also going to lose. Well, no, I don't know that. I think there's a chance you lose Ryan Fitzgerald. So that's 3 guys. You bring in Bessinger. Just from a numbers perspective, they may have an opportunity to bring someone else in, and it's more than likely they lose somebody else. Like the chances that they retain Hank Brown, Jimmy Sullivan, and Hecklinski, I don't think are that great. Just because that's how the portal is nowadays. Don, with roster retention, it's. Quarterbacks want a chance to go somewhere else and prove that they're the guy. And, we'll see.
And, the portal taketh and giveth, as they say, right?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And it could be, the guys move on and in some cases it is addition by subtraction because you're able to go get somebody and fill a roster spot and some revenue share with someone that maybe is a better fit.
That being said, I think we need to throw, and someone said this earlier and I agree with them. I can't remember who it was that said it that called in. I think we need to throw some money at wide receiver. I'm really excited about Reese Vandersee. He's great. I'm not doubting his ability at all, but you can't live on just one receiver. And I think we're losing Jacob Gill this year. I'm sure
they're losing Gill. They're potentially losing Weegan. They're losing Sam Phillips. They're losing. Sam Phillips was really quiet today. I was surprised by that. I don't even know.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't call his name. Did he play?
I believe he played.
He played, yeah.
Out there.
I don't know that he was targeted either. Let me find out here. I've got the stats.
Yeah, Jarrett Bowie would be another one. He's dealt with soft tissue all year. We'll see if he sticks around. So, yeah, Bowie, KJ Parker, like those are the guys. And then hopefully you get Weegan back. Cross your fingers on that one. But you're right. They got to have better receivers than just one.
And they've got to be willing to pay that money. I mean, I know that we're not the richest school, but wasn't there like an article or something that came out saying we're in the top 25 of NIL in football? I think it was CNBC or something.
I don't know about that. I didn't see
Well,
that.
regardless though, we're not going to be poor being in the top 10.
Well,
or Big 10, I mean.
They're going to have some money to spend. And for the people in the chat who are asking, there is a chance. I mean, I asked Caden Weegan that at Media Day in August. Is there a chance you come back next year? And he said, well, he's like, I think there's a chance that I could be eligible. But he hasn't tipped his hat one way or the other. Now, we haven't. I mean, I'm guessing maybe he talked to reporters after the game, maybe. So maybe we'll have word here later today on that, or maybe he'll wait a while, or maybe it'll be one of those situations where he has to apply and we'll be playing the waiting game. I have no idea, but in the least getting him back in the return game, but at least it would give you some speed and a known commodity at receiver as well.
You know what, honestly, and I don't want to be negative. You know, it's a good day today. We broke that horrible, what's it called? That horrible run of not winning against ranked teams. So it's great. But Weegan at receiver, I have to say, like, I was not as impressed as I had hoped by his receiver play. Obviously, punt returner, like, he's the best. I'm not arguing that. You can't even argue it. There's no way to argue that. But as far as the receiver, like, actually, offensive snaps, I've been underwhelmed. I'll put it that way. I'm not saying he's horrific, because that's awfully strong. But I was hoping for more. I guess that's the way to say it.
And it would serve him well to come back next year and keep trying to work on his ability to route run and make catches down the field. And, because NFL teams know his name now, but he can improve his draft stock by coming back, even though he's an old man. So
that's true. But the other part of that is, since LeVar is leaving, would he come back?
Well, he's still going to be a great return guy, whether LeVar is here or not. It would help.
No, I know, but I'm thinking about the relationship piece.
What would LeVar leaving have anything to do with him not coming back? I mean,
I'm thinking about the relationship piece. Wasn't he recruited by LeVar?
I mean, probably.
Sometimes football players, they like to stick with who recruited them, and they have close relationships with them.
Are you saying he would transfer to Michigan State?
I'm saying it's a chance. I'm not saying he will.
At Williamsburg,
I don't have a crystal ball.
Williamsburg kid Caden Weegan heads to Michigan State. I don't think Iowa fans would ever forgive LeVar Woods if that happened.
Corey, this is what I say: the odds of that happening are slim and none.
That might be, but who would have thought LeVar was going to leave? I mean, I know there were some smoke signals, maybe, because I know he went for a few other jobs in the last few years. But I mean, that guy, like, you could tell when he announced came out he was leaving, and he answered questions about it. He was like crying. You could tell it was not an easy decision for him. So who would have thought that he was going to leave?
No, I thought he was going to leave, but regardless, I didn't say that on the air, but I thought he was going to leave eventually, because Kirk made that decision to promote Seth Wallace as associate head coach, and LeVar Woods can't stay special teams coordinator forever if he wants to be a head coach.
Right. Not without a promotion of some sort, like what they did with Seth, like you said. And you can't have two assistant head coaches.
He wasn't going to get that at Iowa. So
assistant head coaches, right?
Yeah.
All right, let me confirm this. Sam Phillips was not targeted today. Not once.
Wow.
Caden Weegan only had one target, and that, I believe, was the first snap of the game, right?
Yes, and it was overthrown.
Yep.
So.
Well, wait, though, they handed it off to him as well, too, didn't they, at one point? And he got blown up in the backfield.
Yeah, he's talking about passes, but yeah, they did hand the ball off to him, and they've gotten the ball to him, on end arounds and that kind of stuff a couple of times. He was involved in the pitch back to quarterback as well. So, Erica, thank you for calling in. We always enjoy hearing from you, and we'll look forward to breaking down the portal here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, you guys gonna be doing some shows here in the coming weeks again, or?
I will be. Yeah, if we get some big news, we'll get Don back in here. Absolutely.
I think it'd be cool to see a season wrap up with both of you.
Yeah, maybe we can do that, like an eval.
Let me just throw this at you, Corey. I'm going to do the analytics for the national championship game, because I'm going to do a luncheon about it and preview it also on KCJJ. So if you want to do a show whenever in advance of the championship game, be happy to do it.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
And then also you mentioned about what is it? The Discord. How do we go about that? I think I'm going to do it.
Yeah, so it's basic. If you just go to any of our donation links in the description, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, either sign up for 50 or for 5. If you sign up for 50, you'll be in for an entire calendar year. There's no fees, no taxes on that. You just label your donation Discord, and then we'll get your email address and send you a link, and you'll be in.
All right, you said PayPal, right? Because I don't have Venmo or the other one.
PayPal, yep. It's all in the description. Any of the
Okay.
links in our description. Yep.
And I actually had one more thing quickly I wanted to say. And I said this on Twitter, so if you saw it, Corey, you're not going to be surprised. But Pavia, man, I'm so glad we beat him and we sacked him 4 times. That guy needs an attitude adjustment.
I think he got it.
I think he got it. I think he ate a piece of humble pie today, and I am happy as heck about it because honestly, the way he threw his fit after the Heisman, like losing the Heisman, he just I don't see how any NFL team can want to take that type of like negativity. Like how I understand they want to win games, but he ain't the only quarterback who's good who's out there, you know? So like I just don't.
The NFL will do their due diligence interviewing him and before they draft him, because there have been other stories that have blown up in people's faces because of attitude. So
yeah, he's got a horrific attitude and he's just all about him. And, I just, he didn't even like, when the game was over today, he didn't even like show any sportsmanship and shake anyone's hand or anything. He just like looked like he had died and walked off the field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not a team player, not a good attitude. And we beat him. So ha, 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 ha.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate the call. Rubbing it on Diego Pavia. Jack Veers in the chat. Thank you for the super chat. Let's talk about how much growth Vanami underwent this year. If you aren't targeting him 6 times a game next year, you're crazy. You agree with that comment from our premium member, Jack Veers?
Well, it depends on how many. I'd say the tight end position should be targeted more than 6 times a game. I don't know if they all need to go to Vanami. We got other tight ends too.
Yeah, we'll see how the development of that room, proceeds here in the coming months.
I think the room should be stronger.
Thank you, Jack. Really appreciate your super chat, and appreciate this from OG. OG Mickism? I see. I don't like the handle. I wish we could just see the name, but they give us the handle. But very much appreciate this super chat as well. Absolutely, go Hawks! Thank you so much for that and for your support, Steve. Reminding everybody to hit the thumbs up button. We got 2 calls, and we got to get them done in about 15 minutes because I got to be out of here in about 15 minutes. So, Steve, thank you for hitting the like and for being here. Irish Bull Matt, where is Ruggiero going? I don't think anything's been said officially, but that's just something I've heard. We'll see if it happens. There have been a couple of rumors out there. So, Thomas, what are the odds of picking up old linemen in the portal? I doubt it. I think they're pretty comfortable with developing the guys they have. Never say never. They've really not had much success, with the exception being Rusty Pfeff. A lot of the guys they've went after were not immediate plug-and-play guys. So I think they're comfortable just recruiting out of high school and developing those guys, and hopefully they're ahead of the curve now at that position. Andrew, probably not enough tape, but is Vanami better than Ostringa? Don, you care to weigh in on that one?
I'm not sure. They both have a lot of potential. And let's face it, there are all kinds of formations that involve more than one tight end too. So I think you'll see a lot of both of them.
Hawkeye Howard reminding everybody to sign up for the Discord. Instructions are across the bottom of your screen. Pisgah Gravel Project. Pavia's career is going to be modeling turtlenecks for JCPenney and cameos in rap videos. Don's got the miniature turtleneck on. Let's not be ripping on the turtlenecks here, Don.
That's true.
He's got the turtleneck on in memory of Diego Pavia's career, right?
I don't believe JCPenney's going to offer me any modeling opportunities, though.
You and Diego.
They'll go for Diego, I think.
Oh, it's great. Bobby says, who will our next special teams coordinator be? I mean, we'll see. We talked, maybe it's Abdul Hodge. I think Desmond King is probably far-fetched, but I think it's probably one of those guys unless they have someone else in the pipeline. But they got to figure that out quickly because you can't sit on these open jobs. I mean, in general, I also think there's a chance Reese Dakin could maybe follow his old special teams coordinator to Michigan State. I hope that doesn't happen. And I don't think LeVar Woods probably wants to take Iowa players away from here. But my way I understand it, Reese is pretty close to LeVar Woods. He recruited him out of Australia. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Doug, when does the portal open back up? Yes, this week. I believe it's like the 7th or something like that. So in the next week, I should say. Ty, why does Iowa struggle so much with the slant? We've had at least 3 or 4 picked off on slants this year, Don.
Well, one thing that comes to mind, you've heard me say before, when you throw slants, you throw them firmly, but you don't throw fastballs. I don't think that was the problem today. Obviously, if Mark would have recognized maybe this ball's a little bit too hot for a running back running a slant, I guess you could argue, well, he could have taken a little pace off the ball. Don't you think we'd have been more likely to handle it? Yeah, I suppose so. But truth is, the ball was on target. It was not thrown excessively hard. I think Mark threw it like he normally did, threw it with some pace, but not a fastball. It's all about location. The ball couldn't have been located any better. The only regret I have, obviously, running backs don't spend a ton of time catching slants. Receivers have more reps at that, and they're better off in general handling those routes than someone else might be.
Yeah, and we're not there in practice every day, but I don't know Xavier Williams to be some great pass catching back. So it's one thing to throw to a running back, but you're throwing to your second or third running back. I just thought it was sort of an odd thing to do, Don.
Yeah, I agree.
So
it was. I think Tim would probably acknowledge that was the biggest mistake that he might have made over the course of the day. Let me mention this, talking about our offensive drive of the game, Corey. How about this? They scored to make 31-24. We're back to a one-score game. We take the ball. There's 11:19 on the clock. We burn 7 minutes and 6 seconds. We convert 3 consecutive critical downs. We end up only with 3, but 3 mattered so much because it made it a 2-score game again. Otherwise, if we hadn't produced that field goal, they would have had an opportunity to bypass that field goal that they kicked late and go ahead and try to score a touchdown. And of course, then they have the option of kicking or going for 2. We might have very well lost the game with the 2-point conversion if we hadn't preceded it with that 7-minute drive for that field goal that put us ahead by more than 1 score again.
Kyle Dupick in the chat, was LeVar Woods with the team? Yes, he was with the team, and I'm sure it's a sad day. He coached his final game, at least for now, as a Hawkeye, but he absolutely stayed with the team through today. What has John Budmeyer done, though, Corey? When did was I defending John Budmeyer? I wasn't ever defending John. I don't think John's done good enough yet. I think this is a put up and shut up next year for him. If the receiver room goes backwards next year, then he and Lester are both, you got to look at both those guys square in the eye, and it's probably Budmeyer that goes first. So Scott says, with our passing game struggling all year, is it time to move on from Budmeyer? I don't think you make a change right now, but I wasn't a big fan of that hire. I like John as a person, Don, from what I know about him, but I didn't like the hire when it happened. So this question, any reason why the kickoffs were so short? Don, you were in the stadium. Was there a lot of wind?
The wind was a little bit tricky in the stadium. I did wonder because there were times it appeared, Drew is such a reliable kickoff man. I wondered, honestly, it seemed as if maybe our goal is to put a lot of hang time on the kickoff, force them to fill the ball, and tackle them short of the 25-yard line. It seemed like that maybe was part of our plan. I don't know what kind of success they had over the season, but thankfully for us, our coverage teams did a good job today in general, and it didn't really come back to bite us. But it appeared sometimes he was trying to get the ball high in the air and force them to field it on the field of play.
Benny says, when's the last time a non-traditional blue blood won Natty? Yeah, I think his point is it's hard to win national championships. We saw TCU go to a national championship and get stomped, but yeah, I mean,
That's a good question. Who is the most unlikely winner of a national title in the last 20 years? I don't know. It seems like invariably it's somebody that was supposed to have a good chance to win it.
Right. Might have to go back. But yeah, absolutely. REM says she loves Kroll Farms. I saw Amanda touting Farms of America, so thank you for that. It's a great binge watch. K9 for Hawk says, Coach, would you have benched number 3 for Vandy after his trash talking, especially after he got stiff-armed for 10 yards by Moulton on a 32-yard run?
I do recall one of those times, and you're right, he was guilty of trash talking at least twice, if not 3 times. One time I did notice he was replaced the very next play. Maybe not enough. Now maybe he's only replaced for a few downs. I don't know. I don't know if it tied into the fact that he was chirping again. He was one of those guys that was really on the verge of getting another flag, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I guess he never did get a flag for doing it, but he was on the edge of getting flagged.
Let's go to who I believe is our final caller of the season officially. None other than Corey. Corey, welcome back. You're on a timer, but welcome back. Corey, do we have you? Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times and sold.
Corey gave up on you?
Corey,
How long was he
Corey's
on
audio
hold?
apparently is not working, or he fell asleep. He fell asleep. That's possible. He was on hold for quite some time. Corey, we will be back in a couple of weeks. Get your equipment fixed. We'll be back talking about the national title game. Andrew says, would Vanami transfer after a freshman year? Nah, he's not going anywhere. I'd be shocked if he left Iowa.
What was you going to transfer from tight end you?
Yeah, and I mean, I think other guys may, like Zach Ortworth would be a guy I'd look at, like maybe he explores his options. I hope Michael Burt doesn't go anywhere because I really like Michael and his family's great. But I mean, you got to do what's best for you. Some of these guys could decide to test the waters. And Thor says, Weegan committed to do the Shrine Bowl, probably gone. Well, that doesn't mean anything. Guys can commit to that now and still end up coming back. So maybe he leaves, but I never say never until we hear that officially. All right. Iowa defeating Vanderbilt 34-27. And we recapped the first half. Obviously, that's where this game was established. But back and forth in that second, Don, we'll kind of finish off our show just briefly talking about the back and forth nature of that second half. Iowa builds the 21-3 lead after the pitch back to quarterback that ended in a DJ Vanami touchdown, and then the 75-yard touchdown pass Pavia to Richardson. The Hawkeyes go 3 and out. They punt, and all of a sudden, Vanderbilt's back in this game. The Hawkeyes then later settle for a field goal. I thought they should have went for it on 4th and 1 at the Vandy 30. Kurt goes conservative. They get 3. It's 24-10. Pavia scores again, a 14-yard touchdown pass to McVay. And then on the following drive, big one for Iowa. Great drive for the Hawks. Thomas Meyer very narrowly misses out on a nice catch along the sidelines. He was bobbling as it went out of bounds, but then you have a nice catch down the seam by DJV. Jacob Gill gets his 13-yard reception, and then Kamari Moulton busts one for 32 yards, and then it ends up in a tush push. Put Iowa up 31-17. Pavia did return the favor with another rushing touchdown, but then Drew Stevens' 44-yard field goal in the fourth quarter with under 5 minutes to go sealed the deal. And in spite of Vandy's late field goal and the pooch kick that ended up in the hands of Reese Vanderzee, the Hawkeyes show tush push, handed off to Xavier Williams, and yet another offsides penalty on a short yardage situation for Vanderbilt, and that sealed the deal 34-27. Don, just your thoughts on how Iowa, unlike when they were on the road to play USC here a few weeks back, they closed this thing out. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's to me what was significant. We're in the fourth quarter now, and again, Vandy's cut it to a 1-score game. We had no choice but to keep responding, and in general, we did that. It was an entertaining half, if you like, offensive football, because there was a lot of offense on the part of both teams. And they did win the third quarter, but thankfully, we were able still to put up that last field goal to make it a 10-point game and give us the final margin of 7.
Corey's in the chat, says he's driving across Florida and he's got poor internet. So that's okay. Corey, we'll get you back because we're going to do a show right before, or sometime before the national title game. Big Grove's big play of the day, Reese Vanderzee's 10-yard reception, tight roping that sideline for a touchdown in the end zone. I shouldn't say tight roping. He didn't really have to walk the sideline, but he, wasn't really a toe tap, but just long arms, great hands, Don, went back to catch it, and phenomenal play, put Iowa up 14-3 after the invalid kick, or the, whatever they called that,
Right.
the kick that should not have been, with 39. Actually, the play happened, the 10-yard reception for
Wouldn't
Vanderbilt.
you like to know, Corey, what kind of instruction was the punter given when he went on the field for that punt?
I think
I'd
he
like
was
to know.
probably given the same instruction he always is: just try to buy yourself a little time and then punt. And he probably got it in his head. Oh, I see green, I see green, I see green. And all of a sudden he realized, now I got to punt it. And by that time he was past the line of scrimmage.
I would hope that the ST coach had reminded him, listen, there's a huge penalty to pay if you punt from on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Well,
I doubt that had been covered.
Yeah. Well, whoever the next special teams coach at Iowa is can look back at this tape and say, hey, don't do what that guy did.
Yeah.
So I keep calling out the SEC for lack of discipline. I see a lot of it. And that's a heavily penalized team, Vanderbilt is, compared to Iowa at least. And we saw that again today. 10 accepted penalties on Vanderbilt for 53 yards. And Iowa was far over their average. They had 5, but 10 for Vanderbilt. And that'll kill you. Big Grove is the official craft brewery of the Hawkeyes. They've been with us all season. They're with us through basketball. Thank you so much to Big Grove. Visit your local Big Grove. Don and I have been there for a show. We'll be back at some point again there in Iowa City, but they've got locations, tap rooms in Des Moines, Solon, Cedar Rapids, also a new one in Omaha, Nebraska, and more coming. Kansas City is also on the way. Visit biggrove.com. Check out their great menu and have yourself an easy Eddie on game day to kick back and watch your favorite Hawks play whatever sport. Don, go ahead.
One final comment. Let's be sure and remind our listeners there's a game on tonight that's worth seeing. Ohio State is putting it on the line tonight. And for one night, let's all be Ohio State fans.
Absolutely. And the Big Ten has played well. But, Don, I will say this. Shout out to Utah. They're absolutely thrashing the Cornhuskers. And they're doing it right after their head coach jumped for Michigan. It's 45-14. Utah is destroying the Huskers. I'll tell you what, Don, if Nebraska is average to below average next year, I think Matt Rule may be gone.
Well, let's face it. They got some explaining to do with how they ended the season. They get run over by us, and now they unimpressive in a bowl game. That's not a good combination.
Absolutely. Folks, Iowa defeating Vanderbilt in the ReliaQuest Bowl 34-17. Don, it's been a pleasure. This is not goodbye, obviously, because we're going to be back. We're going to talk about the playoff, the national title game, and we'll kind of wrap up Iowa's season. And then there's so much to talk about in the portal and recruiting and all that good stuff as we approach spring ball. But thank you once again for another awesome year. And it was fun to kind of factor Matt Kroul in here as well. He's a new favorite of mine. So it's been a pleasure as always, Don. Have fun on your little trip. Get back to Iowa in one piece.
We will. We look forward to the next conversation. And it has been a lot of fun. And thanks to all of our listeners for caring enough to routinely tune in. It means a lot that people care enough to listen.
And folks, if you're interested in joining the Discord, instructions across the bottom of your screen. Please like this video. Please subscribe. Give us a 5-star review on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Google, wherever you listen to your podcasts on audio. And also, if you want to support our great sponsors, that would be much appreciated as well. Brad Van Meter and his team down at State Farm, they're a part of it. We've of course, No Farms of America, all of our great sponsors. Big Grove, we talked extensively this year about Iowa Smokehouse, RTI Threads. They're all phenomenal. Thank you so much, folks. I'm Corey Brada from the Hawkeye of the Storm for Don Patterson. We'll talk to you next time.